All righty. Let's call the meeting to order at 6:16 p.m. Thank you everyone for coming to today's Porter Ranch Neighborhood Council meeting. My name is Gabriel Callion and I am the president of the council. I have a few announcements to make. This meeting is being recorded and the recording will be available on our PRNC YouTube page as well as our webpage, prnc.org. All meeting attendees will be automatically muted when they join the meeting. Attendees may address the board in one of two situations. Number one, comment on an agenda item, and number two, provide general public comment. After each agenda item is read out loud and before a board vote is taken on any item, if any, I will ask if any member of the public wishes to address the board regarding the agenda item being considered. At that time, the meeting attendees can electronically raise their hand to speak by pressing *9 if they are using a telephone for audio, or clicking the raise your hand button on Zoom. That will prompt the presiding officer that you wish to speak. I will go down the list of those who raise their hand, turn on their audio one at a time, and ask him or her to go ahead and provide comment within a specific time period. When the speaker's time expires, I'll let the speaker know that their time has expired, thank them for their comment, and turn off the audio for their speaker. This process will continue until all attendees who have raised their hands spoken. At that time, the board will discuss the motion and take a vote if they choose so. As noted in the meeting agenda, there is an item dedicated to public comment on items not on the agenda, but within the purview of the board. When the item comes up during the course of the meeting, I will ask if any member of the public wishes to address the board regarding any issues that are not on the agenda, but is within the domain of the board's actions and capabilities. At that time, the meeting attendees can electronically raise their hand to speak using the same procedures described above. Please note that under the Browns Act, the board is prevented from discussing or acting on a matter that is brought to its attention during the general public comment. However, the issue raised by a member of the public may become the subject of a future board meeting. Public comments is limited to 2 minutes per speaker unless adjusted by a presiding officer at his or her discretion. Let me let other board members in. Perfect. Let's go to roll call. Christine?
Perfect. All right. Hello, everybody. David Lasher. Absent. David Balin.
Present.
Hilda.
Here.
Jason.
Here.
Luis. Absent. Becky, I know, is absent. Brandy.
Here.
Jennifer, I know she's absent. Voss.
Here.
Myself here, and Gabriel.
Thank you, Christine. And we have a quorum?
Yes, we do.
Thank you. Next item is Pledge of Allegiance. Tatiana?
Please stand. Put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag
Flag,
of the
United
United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Spot on.
You may be seated.
We got to work on that, guys.
Yeah, we need a,
We were just talking
Monotone.
about that, actually.
thank you. Next item is the president's comments. Thank you, board members, community members, stakeholders, and representatives of elected and public officials for attending our meeting today. I want to start off by saying I am very happy that things are slowly going back to normal in LA with the mandates. I hope everyone stays safe and healthy to keep our freedom and rights to live a normal life. Wear a mask or stay at home if you feel sick or getting sick. Wear a mask if you're in the middle of a huge crowd, or wear a mask if you feel uncomfortable. This should remain a choice, but the only way we will keep COVID numbers low is for everyone to be on alert. Do what's right and respect others' choices. I hope we'll go back to in-person meetings soon. Also, recently, many concerns were raised regarding board members having their cameras off and on during our meetings. Since it is not a requirement, but a strong suggestion by Dunn, David Balin came up with a great idea, which I loved, and I hope the board members honor it. Anytime you are speaking, voting, or discussing a motion, please turn on your cameras in respect to the stakeholders and a note taker. and to help put a face to the speaker. This is important to me and the stakeholders. I also want to thank all the community members that have, all the communities that have started meetings already. I hope all committees start meeting soon as the fiscal year is almost over. Please email me for directions if needed. And we do have a long agenda today, so I hope everyone has looked over all the material, and let's begin. Next item is item number 6, updates from representatives. Colin Cruz, let's bring you in. Colin, the floor is yours.
Hey, everybody.
How you doing?
Colin Cruz here. I'm well, sir. Colin Cruz here, District Director for Councilmember John Lee. A couple of quick updates for you. As Gabriel alluded to, we are slowly, or maybe not quite so slowly, moving back to normal regarding COVID restrictions. The City Council is back to meeting in person after returning to remote meetings for January and February. Also, the council voted to ask the City Attorney's Office to prepare a motion to lift the vaccine mandates for indoor dining, etc. So that is another step, a big step, a good step in the right direction as far as the ongoing pandemic. And then last but certainly not least, I want to mention that we had a town hall meeting via Zoom. It was 2 weeks ago, regarding our new proposed Project Home Key permanent supportive housing site, which is in Northridge. It's at the Extended Stay America off of Lundelius and roughly Tampa. It's going to be about 117 beds of permanent supportive housing. We've gotten a really good response from the community, and we're really happy to be able to support this project moving forward. We don't know who the service provider is at this time. That's going out to bid. But we're looking forward to working with whoever is the service provider. And this will actually be our first permanent supportive housing site in CD12. The Travel Lodge, which is now called the Devonshire Lodge, location in Chatsworth that opened last year, is currently interim housing, but in the next couple of years, they will be transitioning to permanent supportive. And other than that, that's what I've got for you guys tonight.
Thank you, Colin. Any board members have any questions for him? No attendees?
Colin, sorry.
Go for it, David.
Hey, Colin, I don't know if you can help with this, but the 118 off ramp, do you know anything what's going on with that with Rashida? It's backing up onto the freeway, pretty dangerous. They've cut it down to one lane. There's an arrow board, but there's no construction, anybody at all present. I was wondering if you know anything about that.
Yeah, we've actually gotten a few complaints about it, and we have reached out to Caltrans regarding it. I don't have an immediate update as to what's going on there, but it came up in one of my meetings the other day with our district staff, and we are aware of it, and we've reached out to the state regarding that situation.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Colin, thank you, David. And any attendees, questions? You got it easy today, Colin.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'll be here if anything pops up.
Sounds good. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you,
Colin.
Thank you,
Thank
Colin.
you.
All right. Any other public officials in the meeting, please raise your hand. Nope. Not today. So we can move on. Next item is item number 7, public comments on items not on the agenda and within the purview of the board. I have 2 hands. Assad, floor is yours. I have 3 hands.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, board members. I just wanted to share with you that there will be a mayoral forum for on Monday, May 21st from 11 a.m. to 1 o'clock. It's organized by the United Chambers of Commerce, and it's at the Porter Ranch, at the Porter Valley Country Club. It's going to be including 5 of the current candidates for mayor, and I encourage all of you to join. The contact person is Marianne. She's with the United Chamber, and I can share with you the information by email. I highly encourage you to be there because this is a live debate, and hopefully if we have any questions, it gets some answers to help us determine who would be our next mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Assad. All right, next, we got Patty. Patty, the floor is yours.
Thank you. And a big major thank you for item 19. We're going to try to get that passed to help protect the health and welfare and safety of everyone here. April 5th might be the first committee meeting to hear this bill. So it's important to get any support going. We're going to have a rally March 30th at 4:30. We're still working out where to have it, either right by Salco Gas's gate or Rinaldi in Tampa, or maybe at the Holly Benson Park. We're still trying to work out the best place. And then finally, because of my great grandmother was born in Odessa, this is a very emotional time for me. So long live Ukraine. Thank you.
Thank you, Patty. I got Daniel's, floor is yours.
Hi, it's Judith. I
Hey,
just
Judith.
wanted to remind people that VANC is meeting tomorrow night. Valley Neighborhood Councils, Valley Alliance of Neighborhood Councils. Our main speaker is your neighbor, Chief of Police Moore, and it should be a robust discussion about police and crime issues. Most of you who attend know how to access VANC, and you probably get the agendas. If anybody has any questions, you can contact either me or Glenn, and we can share the link with you. And thank you.
Thank you, Judith. And then I got Stephanie Clemens, floor is yours.
Good evening, Porter Ranch Neighborhood Council. I wanted to introduce myself. My name is Stephanie Clements, and I am running for LA City Controller. I will actually be at the VANC meeting tomorrow to discuss my platform, but I wanted to tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a third generation Angelino. I grew up in West LA, but I spent a lot of time in the Valley as my grandma and mom grew up in the Valley. I've been working for the city for 25 years. I've worked in many different departments. I've been chief financial officer of 2 different departments, and I have a lot of inside experience, knowledge, know-how, and I understand what the core problems the city faces, and I want to steer the city in a better direction. I'm compelled to run because I'm incredibly frustrated at the mismanagement of this city. And there's a lot more information on my website at clementsforcontroller.com, the 4 being the number 4. But I'm going to be focusing on curtailing corruption in the city, eliminating the ongoing budget deficit that results in city service cuts, being an independent fiscal watchdog. And then I also want to focus on reducing government waste and efficiencies that I think are really created due to technology deficiencies and real problems with our contracting processes and our civil service system. So anyways, there's more substance on my website. I just wanted to say hi. Thank you so much for giving me a minute, and maybe you'll listen to me tomorrow also. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Thank you, Stephanie. Sounds good. And I have Assad. Floor is yours.
Yes, Mr. President. I forgot. Yesterday was the International Women's Day, and I would like to recognize and thank all the ladies on the board for their great job that they are doing serving our community, and to recognize them on this special week. Thank you.
Thank you, Assad. All right, thank you. And with no more hands, we can move on to item number 8, update by budget advocates. who's going to be speaking from Budget Advocates today? Brian Allen, 1 second. There you go. Floor is yours.
Uh,
Can you hear us?
Okay, so thank you for that
There you go.
too, but I'll make it very short. The budget advocates did have a meeting. I know Brandy was at that meeting, and the only thing that is, I guess it's not new either, is to remind you of the town hall for the city controller, which is April 10th at 3 p.m. And if you're looking for more information on that, we'll be certainly happy to give it to you. You can let me know or go to the Budget Advocates website. The other thing is the budget day will be Saturday, June 18th, and that will be at 9:30 in the morning to noon. I think that would be something that everybody could learn something from if they go to it, so I would recommend that. We will have elections not on that day, but soon after that, within, I guess, the next 2 weeks. Other than that, the budget advocates are still working on their white paper. They're working on setting up other meetings, such as with the mayor, and there is another town hall at which I unfortunately don't have the information on, which will be with, I think it's with the mayor, and it will have Jack Humphreeville and others, but we don't know who from the city yet. But it will be on the budget, and the white paper it was still being worked on, still be coming forward, but unfortunately at the moment we're still behind in getting reports from departments done and processed. So even though we've got quite a few done and we're moving forward on that, it's been a busy period of time, so we're a little bit behind. But if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer those if I can, and go from there.
Thank you, Brian. Any questions for him? Sounds good. Thank you, Brian, for the
Good,
update.
thanks.
All right. Next item is updates from ICAG. CAG members, thank you. There you are. Craig, the floor is yours once you come in. Craig, can you hear us?
I am so sorry. I was chatting away.
No worries.
Okay. May I please share screens?
Of course. Give me one moment.
Thank you. Thanks for the time. I will be brief. There is a good update. We met with Supervisor Kuehl's staff. I'll talk about that briefly. And there's
Thank you.
new output from Department of Public Health. So without further ado, I assume you can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Great. So, you know, we've talked about this many times. We've been incredibly clear on what the community wants and medically needs and deserves in the health study, and that's, you know, based on a clinical study. So let's do our scorecard and track how public health and others are tracking to the critical functional needs of the health study. And so this is updated as of now, as of today. And on average, we are 26 months in arrears on critical path deliverables. We still do not have air monitoring. We're 40 months out, and that should aggravate every single board member and stakeholder. And Patty Cluck keeps the pressure on. We appreciate that. The exposure for the subpoena, 30 months out, and you can just read the rest. But we're still 26 months out on average. I will talk about the CBC study. We've got a partial delivery on that. Public Health published yesterday after 28 months. I just want to stress that the write-up was 4 pages of written text, and then the rest was charts and graphs. Why it took 28 months has never been explained. I have just cursorily reviewed it, and I want to point out some concerns that we have. DPH basically says that the study is non-conclusive. As a resident and as your elected representative, here are some of my concerns. So this is white blood counts for adults 17 years and older. And if you look here, this is Porter Ranch, and these are two control groups. And I'm going to do this really quick because we don't have a lot of time tonight. But this little superscript rather, says that these values, everyone that has a superscript, those values are statistically significantly different than the control groups. So for the white blood count, every single year in the study period, so it looks like 9 years, Porter Ranch is uniquely different in its white blood count. So what is going on here? This could be explained by chronic exposure, because that's just highly unusual to be that much variance in one particular zip code. Here's another one. Now we're finally getting a chance to look at children. This should be very concerning because in 2015, what we're looking at here are liver function tests. And where did the toxins in the body get filtered through? Jason probably knows, having dinner with his father, everything gets filtered through the liver. So toxins get filtered through our livers. This is the children, 5 to 17 years old. This liver function enzyme is, I'm not sure if it's an enzyme, I apologize. It's a liver function assay or test. I don't want to misspeak, I'm not a doctor, but this value is significantly higher, statistically significantly higher than control groups, both at control group 1 and control group 2. Here's another concern. Another liver function test during the same year, this is the year of the blowout, showed exceedingly significantly different liver function tests. So what does this point us back to? This is the beginning of what a clinical evaluation would look like, right? It's not trying to predict what the air exposures were. It's looking at the human body and ascertaining what damage potentially could have happened. And this is what we've been advocating for, and we have made it very clear as a CAG and the community, including this board, that clinical evaluations are not optional. And we've seen this slide before. This is our steadfast position that the SOC must be science-based or else it's a whitewash. And the logical conclusion is there's a political capture here of those that are here to protect us. So what has the CAG done since our last meeting? We, along with representation from Porter Ranch Neighborhood Council, met with Supervisor Kuehl's staff. We've had one meeting, and we have a follow-up meeting tomorrow. We laid out our concerns. That was the primary focus of our meeting, our first meeting. And here is basically a recap of the things that we discussed at the end and recommendations for us to collectively follow up on. We had a lot of surprise that the situation was as bad as it was by Kuehl's staff, but also a somewhat of a commitment to investigate these things. And we hope to hear more tomorrow. So, fingers crossed, we have a strong proponent for the stakeholders. But we asked for the RFP be revised, so that's clinical study. We went after the subpoena authority again. Supervisor Kuehl could go after her on her own. We want that cancer study. And most of all, point number 4 is the full transparency. Now, what I just showed you as an example of full transparency, what I just showed you on the CBC study, we need that to be independently reviewed. And what that means is, just like in any good practice of a good study, there's peer review. We need to have that independent peer review of what DPH just published, because what I just showed you is inconsistent with their sort of there's nothing here sort of attitude in their write-up. And I've only looked at it cursorily. So the CAG is going to meet. We're probably going to ask for that independent review. We would ask that the PRNC back us on that, because that would be prudent. And we want the investigation of ongoing exposures and how to cease them. I only had 5 minutes tonight, so I am happy to answer any questions that anyone may have.
Thank you, Craig. Any panelists? Anybody have any questions? Board members?
Just a comment real quick, Gabriel.
Yes, Jason.
I think if we could maybe give Craig like maybe 10 minutes next time. It sounds like things are kind of there's quite a bit of information, and I think that with all that's going on right now, there's a lot of things going on. It sounds like.
We had a long agenda. I put 5 minutes, but if he went over,
Yeah.
I was not going to stop him. So
Yeah, I mean, if there's anything else, Craig, thank you for all the work you guys are doing, and I'm happy that PRNC was in the meeting with you guys, and let's keep it good job. Thank you. That's all I wanted to say. If you need more time, we're moving along pretty fast today, actually.
Yeah, and I'm just being sensitive to that, Jason. Thank you for the offer. And whenever you guys have questions, please email me. And if it's relevant, I'd be happy to bring it back to the entire group in a discussion.
thank you, Craig. And any other board members? Any comments, questions? Attendees? Yeah, everybody got it easy today. Nobody has any questions about anything. Thank you, Craig, again, and I'll see you tomorrow at the meeting.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me switch things over. Okay, and then I noticed that Anthony from the Assemblywoman's office is here. Anthony, if you have anything to add, please raise your hand.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, go for it. The floor is yours.
Yeah, I'm sorry I was late. Don't want to take up too much of your time. I love going to these meetings because I get to listen more than I talk. But I will just give you a few updates on Sacramento. The Assemblywoman has switched from the Budget Committee to the Committee on Privacy and Consumer Protection. I do think that is a step up for her. Consumer protection is a great committee to be on, and that's going to affect a lot of things here in the district. I can give a full legislative update, but I'm not sure that it would be very interesting for the purposes of your meeting right now. But if anybody would like one, they could feel free to email me. And then, yeah, so as far as in-district stuff, especially as it relates to Porter Ranch, I'll say, we're working pretty closely with Caltrans on a lot of issues. There's so much stuff going on the 118, you wouldn't believe it. They're trying to get a sound wall put up, and they're also trying to, there's different potholes that they want to get fixed. So we're trying to really hit the 118 hard as a corridor. And while the Assemblywoman still represents that district, she's submitting some budget proposals, and she's trying to get Caltrans to actually act on some of the stuff that they promised to do already. And I think we've been pretty good about that. As far as the resources of our office, yeah, I would be more than happy to offer up anything that your council would like. Know that you always have a resource here, and I'm on the ground every day in the valley, in Porter Ranch, in Santa Clarita. So if you'd ever need any of our resources, please feel free to reach out. And if you want to share my information in the chat, or there is no chat, but maybe like in the Q&A section, we can do that.
Sounds good. Thank you, Anthony. I have Jason with his hand up.
Oh, Anthony, thank you so much for your help with the 118. And I had a really nice conversation with the person that responded from the letter. So I know you guys sent a support letter for, and for those who aren't aware, it's regarding there were fires there, the brush clearance and all that. And I think things are getting better. I mean, maybe you guys can chime in, but it seems like, there's some, logs and big logs and stuff, and there's some like stuff that's died there. And I know that Jill and her crew was out there on Tampa last weekend. I saw the trash bags, but you'll see the motion that's coming to our board regarding supporting what they're doing and keeping the 118 freeway. And I think that we're making progress. She said in March they're gonna, start working on it. So hopefully we'll get, it seems like we're really moving in the right direction. And I'm happy to hear the funding component and the sound wall. That's a direct. Is that by the HOA? There is the sound wall that you're talking about.
Yeah, and actually we went and bought a decibel meter off of Amazon, and the Assemblywoman and I actually went down personally and measured it. It's way over the limits. So
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean that's great. So thank you again for your involvement, and I think we'll put it on the agenda next month. I'll ask it to be on the agenda just so we can keep the momentum. I like to just keep it on the agenda so we keep like pushing it because it takes time. So thank you.
absolutely, thank you, Jason, and let me know. And yeah, please reach out to me. Please reach out to my office. I never sometimes I don't hear back from some of the people in the group that say, hey, I want to work with you on this, and then I never hear anything. So it
I
would
think
be
we're moving forward. We're kind of like in March they said they're going to do some work. So let's see what they do, and then we'll circle back in April.
cool.
You're awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Any other questions for Anthony? Any attendees? No? Alrighty, thank you, Anthony, as always.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you, you too.
Looks like you have Gibson as well,
Okay.
Gabriel.
Yeah, I'm moving everybody in and out right now.
Yeah.
Trying to juggle everyone around. 1 second. Perfect. All right, next item is item number 10. Jason, the floor is yours on this one. Do you want me to share a screen or do you want to share a screen?
I promoted Jill to panelist.
Okay.
Jill, can you unmute? There you are. Welcome.
Hi.
So I'll just introduce Jill, and I think she can tell you everything. But Jill, I came to know just by volunteering on the 118 freeway, and I forget how we first met, but we certainly have a lot of common ideas, and like her crew, we just want to get things done. And so when I had more time, I was always out there supporting her in her efforts to keep the 118 freeway. So like they just did Tampa, they do Reseda, but I encourage Jill to apply for an NPG since she has adopted the 118 freeway section, which is within Porter Ranch. And I think there's ways that we can definitely support her and grow the program because it's very challenging getting volunteers. For me personally, as beautification chair, we tried a couple times to do these things, but the way that Jill has networked and built this up, I think that it's an important collaboration. So I want to welcome Jill and have her go ahead and explain the MPG and everything.
Thank you.
Do you want to make the motion first? Sorry.
Okay, sure. So I'll make the motion to approve an MPG in the amount of $3,000 for volunteers cleaning communities to be used for business cards, tools, landfill costs, and bin costs.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you.
David. Raylan.
Jill, floor is yours.
Okay, well, thank you. So thank you, Jason, for that introduction. And yes, the 118, I did adopt the 118 between Tampa and Balboa for 5 years. And so my team and I do it minimally twice a month. And we just did it, as you saw the bags. Where we really concentrate is on the on and off ramps because Caltrans never hits that. They don't even take the bags off the on and off ramps. We have to bring it down to the freeway floor in order for those bags to be picked up, which Jason alerts me all the time. They haven't been picked up yet. And so we've now decided, okay, we got to walk them all the way down, no matter where we get those bags. But what happens on the 118 is a lot of homeless encampments that are abandoned. And, you know, we're not shy, we clean them up. This last weekend, we found 2. You'll never see them because they're behind the bushes. But that's a lot of debris, a lot of work. And sometimes one huge one on Reseda, we had, oh my God, 250 bags came out and 24 shopping carts. And that cost us money as VCC because I got to haul it away to a landfill. We do a lot of work with Shepherd's Church, so I don't want to talk too long. Shepherd's Church is our partner, and once a month we do cleanups with them. They're great volunteers, and I talked with them about putting a big bin because that way, you know, we have a place to dump. We're actually partners with Rocky Peak Church. And this weekend, they're doing their huge volunteer weekend with 4,000 volunteers. We gave them 3 projects, and one of them is on Rinaldi to get rid of the homeless site that's on Rinaldi and Wilbur. So we'll be cleaning that all out. And Don Larson, my partner, is actually doing that particular project because we have 2 other ones that we're doing as well. But that's a huge project with lots of mattresses, et cetera. And we're going to have to go to the landfill in order to dump that material. And it'll probably take 2 loads in order to get that out. That's just a minor example of what we will do in just Porter Ranch. As Jason knows, and hopefully you know, it's volunteers cleaning communities. I'm not partial to any community because we adopted the LA River. We're doing a huge cleaning Ventura Boulevard on April 23 we're going from Universal Studios to Valley Circle and clean the entire Ventura Boulevard in 2 hours with 128 volunteers from the local neighborhood councils and chambers because I like to unite everybody as much as I possibly can, obviously for volunteers. Another example, even though Sierra Canyon's not in your group, I'm going to be leading 161 students. 161 with buses. So I can take them anywhere I want to clean up. And they're going to do a lot of beautification. So here's a perfect example where we stopped on Chatsworth Street at Melville because that's as far as we made it in our last beautification. We do 2 a month. And we can take that right past and start cleaning with, at least 40 of the kids doing that particular area. We're very lucky. I'm connected with Sierra Canyon, Notre Dame, Chatsworth High, Crespi, etc. That just, and the Kiwanis, I'm a Kiwanis member, so the Key Club always supports and brings out volunteers. So I'm really able to do amazing volunteers. My group this weekend is 80 people at the Sepulveda Basin. 80 people to clean out one of the creeks at Sepulveda Basin, which is shopping carts and tents and everything down there that has gone down the LA River. So I've been very fortunate in the last, I only formed the company really VCC January of last year. And we've been extremely fortunate in just rising so much support from John Lee, now it's Blumenfield, Jesse Gabriel, Henry Stern, et cetera, and a lot of neighborhood councils as well as chambers, because we're there to help. We do 5 to 6 cleanups a week in lots of different areas, including beautification. So your monies is not for business cards, by the way. It happens to be in there because the total amount of the budget that we were looking for helping support Porter Ranch was $4,880. I'm only asking for 3,000 of it, and I'll find the monies other ways, or I'll self-fund.
Can you explain that part of it? Like what you plan to use the money for?
Sure. So number one, I'm looking for a VCC lead. A VCC lead is somebody who takes that community, works under me, and I can give student credits, which is great. That's the way I can get so many volunteers, because I can give student credits for their volunteer hours. To work in that particular area. So we can have multiple groups going all at one time. I support them all and usually try to do a lot with them before they get going. So that's one aspect of it. The other thing is bags. Bags, you cannot use the city bags. They are not meant for anything that we do. So we have to buy our own bags. And they're about 50 cents a piece, believe it or not, those 3 mil bags, even at a discount, which I get from Home Depot, being that they're a supporter of mine. On the freeway, we need rolling trash cans because it's a pain to drag all of that heavy stuff, tires, etc. And so that's kind of in there. The dump fees are $100 every time we go to a dump. And the trash bin that we're talking is going to be one time every month at $150 a month for that big, huge bin that we can get, that Shepherd's Church is going to store for us, by the way. They're going to put it back in the back. We've already arranged that. And they will store it so it's out of sight, out of mind, but it'll give us a place to be able to empty a lot of the things as we do Lime Kiln Park. When we did Lime Kiln, and we took 250 bags out from underneath that overpass in the Lime Kiln Park, plus 3 sofas. And I mean, it was just insane. And there's still stuff down there. There's some mattresses and everything that we still have to get out. So the homeless thing is not going away soon, as we know, with debris. Hopefully they're moving people into housing, but the debris is just there. We just did Canoga Avenue today and cleared 2 abandoned encampments and filled an entire dumpster with our bags in 1 hour. It's mind-boggling how much trash is out there.
Yeah, it blew my mind. And David and I can remember, I know David was with me with his daughter and I think my daughter, and we ran into that gigantic pile underneath the 118 freeway. I mean, this pile was the biggest pile you've ever seen. Well, 250 bags worth, and the couches and all that. And I thought it would never happen. David remembers that, right? I got the pictures.
And thank God, Shepherd.
That was with the YMCA back in the day.
Shepherd Church to help us with that.
Yeah, Shepherd did
awesome.
We used to do, before COVID, we used to work with the YMCA, every year. And, a lot of the guys, Gabriel remembers all that stuff.
Well, we just did Lime Kiln. We were just down there, and thank God we only got 20 bags this time, but we got 20 bags underneath that same overrun. Wasn't any homeless. Well, there was homeless, but abandoned stuff, but nothing like the 250 bags. So it's a regular thing that we do. And that's not where most people go to pick up trash if they're just the average person. It's heavy duty to get that kind of stuff. So.
Good. Thank you, Jill. I see David Balin put his hand up. David, floor is yours. You're muted.
All right, now I'm unmuted.
There
All
you
right,
go.
first off, Jill, I've been honored to work with you and the crew and Jason over the last few years. I've had a great time every time that we work together cleaning up. But I have to tell you, your ask is too small for the job that you do every single day for this community and the communities throughout the San Fernando Valley. And I would like you to consider coming back when you need more assistance from us. And I can tell you, not only does Jill clean up the mess from the homeless, but from the people that just litter. I mean, just to litter. I mean, we look at stuff that's been piled up for years on the sides of the freeways. But I have to tell you, one of the things that I really, really appreciate about Jill is that, we started the Porter Ranch Neighborhood Council Youth Committee, and she just was able to run with it. She's worked with Madison Chaw, and she's helped our youth grow in understanding how it is to help out the communities. And she's worked with other students from starting with Madison. I mean, Madison has, she's flourished not only for us, but also for other communities as well. So I applaud you and I thank you, Jill. So thank you. And you always have my support.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, David. Brandy, floor is yours.
Thanks. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I just have a question. So I'm glad that you're helping with cleanups in the encampment areas, because I know a lot of people who live in those encampments have been very frustrated with the fact that they keep asking for cleanup items, trash cans, brooms, things like that, to help keep those areas clean. And depending on where it is, they're either just denied outright, or there's sometimes fights between city and county as to who should be given the responsibility of giving them trash cans and picking them up. And so you could probably get the people who are living in those encampments to actually help you too.
Yep.
But
They do.
yeah, I'd imagine they would, because yeah, they don't want to live in filth. It's kind of just a situation they're stuck in. So
Right.
The one thing I would ask you guys, so it's good if you're talking with them. Do you make sure, because sometimes when people are cleaning up areas, they'll mistakenly pick up and throw away stuff like old backpacks or something. It turns out that's what someone's carrying, like their birth certificate in or something. Are you guys doing anything to make sure that, okay.
Yeah, we can only take what they allow us to take. So we approach them and say, if it's an active camp, if it's abandoned, it's very abandoned. It's been, it's really dead.
Yeah,
If it's an
I
active
get that.
camp, we say to them, which we did today. We said, is there anything that you want us to take away? That's what we do. They're usually hesitant at the very beginning, but I'm insistent. And I said, no, really, that's what we do. We're cleaning the street here. We're more than happy to take it and leave you bags. Because if you bag it for us, we'll come pick it back up in a future time.
Yeah, I think maybe we could do some work together with you guys and the Homeless Solutions Committee to help support this even more.
Great.
I'd like to work with you guys. So yay, thank you.
Thank you, Brandy. Thank you, Joe. I have an attendee here, John and Michelle Hales. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Excellent, excellent. Listen, in the past 3 or 4 weeks, I've talked to several students at Cal State Northridge, and they're taking sustainability classes over there.
Mm-hmm.
And they all tell me that their professors have given them projects to go out and clean up, etc. In fact, one of the 2 people that I rent rooms to have Lorraine Lundquist as their professor. I think we all know who she is. And she's given them assignments. She suggested going to some of the neighborhood councils. My action and my asking questions to them is they just kind of frown and shake their head a little, like they don't want to make that step. But I would like to recommend that maybe if you could go in, maybe Lorraine Lundquist might be the first, but there's multiple professors giving that same area discussions. These kids would jump on it. They're going all the way to the beach to pick stuff up there instead of here.
Right.
So thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes. And we don't go to the beach because too many people go to the beach. We're here in the valley,
Well, I'm not sure they cleaned up when they got there.
Well, it's too pretty. You're right.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. I do have a professor that is a regular volunteer from CSUN, and he gives me people all the time, but I will use your recommendation and reach out to her.
She'll have a big cleanup plan with CSUN in about a month, I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Knowing you, Jill.
And they need it. They need it.
And the Granada Hills one you did, I watched the video.
It was amazing.
It was really fantastic.
That was amazing.
Thank you. I got Assad with a question. Assad, floor is yours.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Yes, hi, Jill. All it is, I wanted to echo on what David Balin said, and thank you on behalf of the community for all the great work you've been doing, and for role with us in the youth committee. You've been a great example to many of the youth, and keep up the good work. And we're always here with the community to support you. And I hope that this motion get approved. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The youth is great.
Thank you, Assad. Thank you, Joe. Jason, you want to move forward with the motion?
Yeah, we made the motion. It's seconded. So,
all right, Christine, do you want to call the vote?
Yes, David Lasher,
Yes.
David Balin,
Absolutely.
Hilda,
Yes.
Jason,
yes.
Luis is absent. Same with Becky. Brandy,
Yep.
Jennifer is absent. Voss,
Yes.
Myself, yes. And Gabriel?
100% yes.
Perfect. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Thank you,
7.
Jill. Keep up the
Passes.
good
Thank
work.
you so much. Congratulations.
Thank you,
so
Joe.
much. I really appreciate that. Thank you,
Thank you, Joe.
Jason, because
See you
you
next-
suggested I do
We're
something.
back towards the end of the year. We'll see you again.
Hopefully.
We'll get to work now, cleaning
Okay.
everything. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Let's move on to item number 11. Jason, treasurer's report.
All right. I just pulled up the portal here. Our balance is $22,738.52. So we can roll over 10,000, and well, we approved 3,000 already. So let's keep that in mind as we move forward, because we have, let's see, April, May, and June. We have 3 more months. So we need to we're on track with our spending, basically. Seems like we're on pace. So it's a matter of, are we going to spend all our money, or are we going to carry over 10,000? I think. So yeah, that's about it. I don't really have, as we get closer to the end of the fiscal year, which is the end of June, I'll have to make sure that these payments are clearing. So I think we did have, well, there are some outstanding payments, but that'll get worked out.
Thank you, Jason.
You're welcome.
And next item is item number 12, which is the January MER. You want to share the screen, or should I?
You bet you do it if you don't. Well,
Sure. I got it.
let's see.
Perfect. Can everybody see the screen?
Okay. Yes. So you want to slowly go through it. Okay. It's all just regular stuff, storage and Wendy Moore. And there's the path, MPG. What was the other one? Business cards above it?
Over here?
Oh, okay. That's Congress. Okay.
Yeah.
Outstanding. Oh, yeah. So that actually the Congress didn't, maybe they didn't catch a check yet. It's still outstanding. That was a while back.
Now we got the what is it, storage.
Yeah, these are just the receipts. Wendy. And that's the ACs. And that's Apple One. All right. If there aren't any questions, then I'll make a motion to approve the MER.
I will second that. Gabriel seconds. Any questions or comments? All right, let me stop sharing. All right, Christine, you want to call the vote?
Yes. David Lasher,
Yes.
David Balin,
Yes.
Hilda,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
Luis, and Becky are absent. Brandy,
Yes.
Jennifer is absent. Voss,
Yes.
myself, yes. And Gabriel?
Yes.
Okay, motion approved.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next item is item number 13, presentation by Argos Scientific on air monitoring. They did email us that they will not be able to attend today. David, do you want to read what they said, or should I? Can't hear you, you're muted. Muted.
I know, I hit the wrong button.
All right.
So since you have it pulled up, why don't you go ahead and read it? Because I know it's not very long.
It's
So
small
thank you.
paragraph. Okay, thank you. The email I received stated Argos and UCLA are currently working on identifying the sites for the open path fence line air monitoring system. This path of projects is considered to be the highest priority due to the difficulty of obtaining permission to install structures. All equipment associated with the project has been ordered and delivery schedules are being finalized. Argos is planning to finalize a draft air monitoring plan for submission to South Coast Air Quality Management District in the next 3 weeks, and will schedule a webinar to present an overview of the project and seek input from the community shortly after. That was their statement they made. I see Jason, you have your hand up.
Yeah, if I could just make a comment or slash suggestion, I guess. I believe last time Don came, he mentioned a couple times that, you know, the community could help him with locations potentially. And I know, I'm just wondering if anybody's working behind the scenes. I guess, David, you're working on that. But like
So
maybe
the ad hoc committee, Gabriel, myself, and they asked for Assad because he's with the city and he's being an integral part about getting permitting and stuff like that. So we're all moving behind the scenes. So yeah, the ad hoc has been, but we, you know, they've asked us to let them go ahead and bring it forth to the community. So I feel more comfortable letting them know, but I can tell you that we are working directly with them.
Yeah, I mean, like the light poles up, you know, where Mason ends there, or the schools, or any of the HOAs, or, you know, yeah, thank you. I just want to make sure that, you know, we're
So everything
helping them.
that you mentioned just now, yes, it's all kind of all coming together, but nothing is set in stone.
No, I think that's so important, and you know, you kind of know a lot of people, and we all can, through our contacts, help them find locations. And if they need from the city things, we can help. But I just want to make sure we're helping as best we can. Thank you.
I can share, and Gabriel can share, that they are on a very strict timeline. So they must perform, or something happens. I don't know, but yeah, everybody's working extremely hard, and I think they're. And I know both they didn't expect to not be here, because that kind of caught us off guard as well. But I know that they planned on coming definitely next month. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Oh, Assad, you have something to add? 1 second. Go ahead.
Yes, Mr. President, thank you. Yes, like David just mentioned, I spoke to the city engineer and they are very aware of the project, and we're going to expedite the revocable permits required within 48-hour turnaround. Also, there is some of the repeaters. I already talked to my engineers in street lighting, and they are aware of it's coming, and it should be facilitated quickly, the permit within 24 hours turnaround. Last, there is a lot of equipment that my department has been looking at as a pilot, and we shared all the info. And as far as I know, Dawn is already in touch with the vendors that are doing the test bed for the city of LA, so that they might acquire those. Besides that, we are, you know, our ad hoc, Gabriel, David, and myself, trying our best. But like Jason said, we will need more from people to help it, because otherwise, if these guys fail, they lose their contract, we'll be stuck. So thank you.
Thank you, Assad. Patty, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I just had a question about something you said from the email, that they needed permission to get access to premises. So are they talking about Salco Gas, or are they talking about the city or county allowing them to have access? Or is it kind of vague in the email?
David, you want to answer that, or should I?
You can go ahead. We're just, I mean, but bottom line is, and you can add to this, we're trying to find, you know, sites, and we're trying to get permission to utilize these sites. So like I said, nothing is set in stone just yet. Go ahead, Gabriel.
Yeah, some of the property is owned by the city, some of the property is owned by HOAs, etc.
Okay.
So it just needs sign-offs, to my understanding.
Okay, good. I just want to make sure it wasn't Salco Gas that was throwing a, you know,
No.
Especially when you guys are on the ad hoc committee are doing such a great job at the heavy lifting. And I'm glad I don't have to send a nasty email to Andrea tomorrow.
So I can tell you that so far, let's knock on wood, we have not had any we haven't had any issues with SoCal Gas. But that's not to say that we're not going to get a pushback, but I'm just waiting, but we're moving as quick as we can for the community. And I hope that when Andrea and Don do come out, I hope that the community does give their input or approve of what they've come up with. So thank you.
Thank you, David. Any other questions or comments? I have another one from Craig. Craig, floor is yours.
Hi, thanks. Have they mentioned a timeline of when they're planning to implement something?
David?
So there is a timeline. Maybe we can ask Assad. I'm sure Assad will know the exact timeline, but there is a timeline that they have to have it done. I mean, we would like to have done it like in the next 30 to 60 days, but we have to find the sites. Other than that, I think we're ready to move forward. Assad, what is a deadline that we have to have it up and running? Is he there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, just you need to give me permission to talk. Yes, my understanding it's August 1st. August 1st, the whole system must be at least live for a final inspection walkthrough. So it's August 1st. And then I'm sure if there is issues in around August, there will be a punch list. Typically, they will give them some time to correct it. But most of the materials, my understanding from Don, is already in the pipeline. So probably they are expecting within the next 4 to 6 weeks some equipment. And then my other understanding is they've been in the convention in San Diego yesterday and today. So hopefully they'll fill us in what kind of hardware they acquired and readily available. In regards to the one from the city test bed, that equipment is ready immediately for deployment. It just from the specs, I'm not sure if it has the methane or not, or the other, whatever the experts looking at. But it's August 1st.
And I think we could share, Gabriel.
Thank
Maybe you
you.
want to share it. You know what basically what the plan is to cover. Do you want to share that? I think we can share that at least.
Yeah, it's basic, the location wise from end to start.
Just from end to start. We don't have to
Okay,
get into the specifics.
It's on Cessnon, west of Mason, all the way to Castle Bay.
So at least the
Pretty much.
community that's here would at least be able to have a breath of fresh air, knowing that we plan on protecting that far of that perimeter of the community.
And last follow-up, quick question. Have any locations been secured?
Assad, I know you're pulling the permits.
I can answer. I don't think anything has been signed off on. I think we have a 99.9% where we're thinking, where everybody's thinking. I mean, we've been out, we've walked it. We've looked at how the mirrors will reflect and how we can implement certain systems. And I think that but nothing to me has been signed off at this time from the city, county, or LAUSD.
Thank you, David. That's pretty much the same information I have. But then again, everything's new. It's happening right now. So.
And at the end of the day, Andrea and Don would know exactly what we have and what we don't have. So hopefully we'll get more up to date. And Gabriel, you can reach out to them in a couple of weeks or whatever, and you can even put it on our website. Updates.
Will do.
Thanks.
Jason?
Oh, I just wanted to make a comment. Can we involve the Sheila Kuehl's office, because, her input is very important, I think, in this matter, especially given, the recent meeting they had with the CAG. And I think, just including the city and the county in the discussion as well is only going to be a positive. So that's my only comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. I agree with you. I also agree that other community members and et cetera should get involved, like CAG members or anybody else in the future. But I think right now what's happening is they're establishing the baseline and then open it up for suggestions and et cetera.
Yeah, like once you do that, then that's what I'm saying. Like,
I can tell you that they're very open to building the relationships with the city officials that will help them open the doors to expedite this. So anybody that's willing to jump on board and make things happen, because we are like we said, we're talking August 1st. They'd be willing to meet them, get them on board, have them involved. And I'm not really sure who the contact person is with Sheila Kuehl's office, but maybe you could forward it. And we'll forward it to Don and everybody
Gabriel
else.
just had a meeting with them, right? So
Okay, so Gabriel, you can throw that Don's way.
Yes, we'll mention it definitely
I
tomorrow.
wanted to say thank you.
Thank you. And with no further questions, let me clean out the room. 1 second. I think we're good, right? Let's move on to item number 14. I want to make a motion for Education Committee and Outreach Committee to participate in Carnival of Knowledge event at Chatsworth High School on April 7, 2022, 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. by having a free booth for outreach, and setup time is at 4 p.m. I do have a flyer. Let me share real quick. That is the flyer that was sent to us. It is open to the public. There will be these schools right here along with others participating. And I was honored to be invited to attend and have a booth at the Carnival of Knowledge. This is an event where many local schools will show off their skills, performances, and their pride in their schools. This event is only 2 hours and it will be great outreach event to let the community know who PRNC is, and also start looking for potential candidates for youth committee that we're starting. It shall be fun. It's open, as I said, to the public. It's free. There's going to be at least 50 booths, and they will be providing tables and chairs at no charge once we approve to participate. I was thinking at the event we can have a sign-up sheet, spinning wheels to give away free PRNC items, and just tell everybody who we are. 1 second. Are there any questions about it? Do I have a second?
Second.
You have plenty of seconds.
Perfect. With no further questions, I want to ask both committees real quick if they're good to go. Hilda?
Yeah, I'll be there.
Thank you. And Christine?
It's a great way to show up, promote, and participate.
100% agree. And it's only 2 hours, so it's perfect. Christine, you'll be able to be there?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited, and I think it's going to be great for PRNC to get out there and just, be involved with the community.
Thank you. And we'll meet at once we approve this right now, we can meet at storage to go through all the giveaways and products and merchandise we have and move forward from there. All right, Christine, you can call the vote.
Okay, David Lasher,
Sorry, I'm fighting with my camera. Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
David Balin,
Yes.
Hilda,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
Luis and Becky are absent. Brandy,
Absolutely.
Jennifer is absent. Voss,
Yes.
myself, absolutely, and Gabriel.
100%. Thank you, Christine.
Motion approved. Thank you guys so much.
Awesome. Next item is item number 15, discussion and possible action for environmental health research NPG, an amount not to exceed 3,500 to be used for operation expenses for community health study and activities. I know this motion was approved last year, but due to an error on paperwork, it was declined by the city. Changes were made and we need to revote after discussion and presentation. Who will be discussing?
I'm gonna recuse myself.
You're gonna, okay,
Abstain. Jason.
thank you, Jason.
Oh, me too.
Who's that, Hilda?
Hilda.
Thank you, Hilda. All right, who is here from? Andrew.
Gabriel, if I recuse myself, will you have quorum to do this?
1, 2, 3,
I have to recuse myself as well.
4. Do we even have quorum at this point?
And I will recuse myself as well.
1 second. Mr. Gibson, you're here. We have 4 board members left at this point. We can't hear you. There you
Hi
go.
there, everybody. I'm just trying to think a little bit out loud. So we only have 4 board members, right?
Everybody else recused themselves.
It's like, let me just make sure something is in your bylaws about this.
Yes, David.
You have to have a quorum to make the motion and to vote on it. Thank you.
And everybody's recusing themselves because folks, okay. Can we just, Mr. President, if I may, let's just do a presentation and then if that's okay, or we can move on to the next agenda item. I just want to confirm something about this so we can make sure we don't lose quorum.
Okay, so should we go next? You're saying go to the next item and then come back?
Yeah. Can we ask everybody to come back real quick?
Sure. The message, whoever's not here. Who else we're missing? Christine, the message her.
I'm back.
Okay, okay, Mr. President. So one thing that's going to happen because all board members are just abstaining and they're still present in the meeting, we're not going to lose quorum. So what this vote's going to just require is a simple majority. So we'll just come back. So after the next motion, everybody who leaves the room to abstain from this, to recuse themselves, the board members will be present. They'll just do a vote for a simple majority.
Gibson, can you read that rule, please? Because I don't remember ever hearing that or seeing
No, because it can't be discussed without, right? Even if you are leaving, you're still present in the meeting and you're just abstaining from this vote. So my suggestion would be just make sure the vote has if there's a simple majority on this vote item from those board members who are eligible to discuss this one, and then they'll vote on it. You guys are present, but you haven't left the meeting. So that technically you still have a quorum in this meeting. It's just that as you're abstaining, you're not discussing this matter.
Gibson, when you say abstaining, is that different fundamentally from abstaining? What?
Because all board members are recusing.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, are recused members abstaining from voting treated separately from voting to abstain? Because our vote to abstain is considered to be counted as a no by our bylaws.
So what I was saying is they can still recuse themselves from from this agenda item. The board members who are remaining, they'll just vote on it on a simple majority. That would be the best way to work around on this. Even though it looks as though, right, even if folks are recusing themselves, they're still going to be present in the meeting when they come back for the next agenda item. So the board has not necessarily lost quorum because everybody's left the meeting. So it's just going to be a simple majority of the board members present who will be able to vote on this one.
Thanks.
Thank you. So should we, Mr. Gibson, should we do this one then? Should I send everybody back and move?
Yeah, I
forward?
think if all the board members will be abstaining from recusing
Recusing.
themselves and leaving the room, they can definitely do so. And then the board will take a simple majority action. And then, yeah.
Thank you. So if you're recusing yourself on item number 15,
If you're, recusing yourself.
Yeah,
Just
you
leave.
said abstaining, but you meant recusing, I guess. right?
correct.
That's what I meant. You just got to recuse
Okay.
yourself. If you're recusing yourself from this motion, just leave. The board members
Okay.
who are eligible to vote for
I'm
this,
leaving.
they'll vote on it. The simple majority will move this motion forward.
Thank you. David, are you recusing or staying?
I reversed, I'm staying.
Thank you. All righty. Let's Andrew, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good evening, board. David, thanks for coming back. Good to see you. I'll keep it very brief. The board previously approved an MPG for EHR for work related to our independent health study. The city, on a technical issue with NC funding not being able to approve our nonprofit paying specifically for medical tests for an individual, denied the MPG. They did that both for you and for Granada Hills. So we are just resubmitting kind of a semantic, semantics with a new MPG, using the money specifically for basically outreach and community survey, which NC funding has indicated to us they would approve with no problem. And we ultimately will supplement the medical testing monies with monies that we've raised elsewhere. So this motion and this MPG are just a revisit of an item that, and we appreciate this, that the board previously approved. And I'll be happy to take any questions anyone may have.
Thank you. I know I see Judith and Glenn Bailey and Brandy have their hands up. Brandy, go for it, and I'll go to Judith next, and then Glenn. Brandy, floor is yours.
Yeah, I just wanted to confirm, when we approved it last time, was it the same amount?
The original motion was that the original motion they requested was that amount. I believe we approved 2,000 of it, if I remember.
Okay, that's all I wanted to confirm. Thank you.
Thank you. David Balin.
All right, so listen, I like you guys, but I find it appalling that you have a startup company and that you're digging into the community's funds. I don't agree with this, so you're never going to get my support. If you did it a different way, I would probably try and figure out how to help you. But when you start coming to the community and digging into the funds that should be going to students, YMCA, the elderly, you call it a nonprofit. What have you guys done thus far to make me change my mind? I don't believe in what you guys are doing. I'm sorry that I have to be straight and frank with you. But I think enough is enough. And I think you should not go after funds that should be going elsewhere. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Judith, floor is yours.
Would David like a response to that?
Oh, sure. Go ahead.
So David, I appreciate your comments. Some of the statements you made, I think they need maybe some explanation. Maybe this isn't the best opportunity to do that. Not only as a nonprofit in this community, but as a stakeholder in this community, quite frankly, I can't think of something better to spend your money on than to actually get to the bottom of what this community was exposed to. And that doesn't just help, the YMCA or the schools, that helps everybody. And not only in Porter Ranch, but also in all the North Valley communities. So in my estimation, if I was in your seat and somebody was coming to do some of this most important work that frankly, no one else is doing at the moment, I think this is an incredibly worthwhile thing to do for not a lot of money. $3,500 is not a lot of money in the grand scheme.
You say it's not a lot of money, but let me tell you that $3,500 can go in many different directions. If we weren't wasting the money, the other monies that we've spent elsewhere, I'm not going to go into that, but at the end of the day, I would have rather seen you do something ahead of time and said, this is what we've done for the community, and we're going to need X amount of dollars to further this type of study. But you're not, and I feel, and shame me for saying this, but I think the way you guys go about it, it's almost like bottom feeding. And I'm not happy, and I'm not going to support it. And I've had community members reach out to me, and they said, I hope that the neighborhood council does not support these people because they're not doing anything. And I said, well, I would like for them to do something, but like I'm saying, you know, I think show us what you can do and then come to us and ask us for money. Thank you.
Andrew?
Look, those are David's comments. I appreciate them. You know, EHR is, you know, in the midst of trying to do a number of projects, including the community survey, which is listed on the MPG. Getting the CBC actual report published is, you know, another. You know, the fact is, there's a lot of stuff that happens slowly and behind the scenes. I get it. It's not sexy. It's not flashy. You know, it isn't going to trim a tree. That is a very tangible thing. But, you know, I can tell you from someone who's been working very diligently on another hat as part of the CAG, you know, the members of the community who are involved with EHR are working very hard to protect not only the board, but protect all the stakeholders who live in the North Valley. Because quite frankly, you will not get a clinically based patient-centric health study if the community doesn't do it. And this group has sacrificed its own money and hundreds of hours of its own time to get this going, to be able to provide the community with what the community has declared it wants. And that is a patient-centric, clinical-based health study. And we're picking up that rope and we're pulling on it. That's it.
Thank you, Andrew. Judith, floor is yours.
Hi, I had my hand up for a very long time.
Yes, you did. I'm sorry about that.
I have a very strict personal rule that I do not want to tell any neighborhood council how to conduct their business, because I don't want any other neighborhood council to tell me how to conduct my business. However, Gibson has given you very bad advice. Your bylaws say you need 6 for a quorum. If somebody recuses, the definition of recuse is they are not at the meeting. They have left the meeting. You have 8 people there tonight. With even if you put David Balin back into the mix, you have 3 who recused. That means you have 5 people physically at the meeting when 3 have recused. Your quorum is 6. If you vote on this item tonight, funding is not going to accept it because you do not have a quorum. You take the chance of really screwing up any chance of ever being able to get funding for them if that's what you're trying to do. I think Glenn is on the line now, and I am absolutely sure that Glenn would agree with this. If people were abstaining, they still count for the quorum. When somebody recuses, they do not count toward quorum while they are recused. For the exact time that they are recused and they physically have left the meeting until they physically return to the meeting, even if it's virtual, they do not count toward quorum. So you know, right now you're having a discussion. If the very fact that Gibson told you to bring those people back in means that they did not recuse, and if they have some kind of a conflict, that made them say that they were recusing, you now have a problem that 3 people who thought it was important that they not be present for this are present, even if they don't open their mouths. They are present and they're tainted. You have the major problem. You can ask Glenn for his opinion, and I think you should ask Glenn about his assessment. But I'm telling you that Gibson did not give you good advice. That's it.
Thank you, Judith. Glenn, floor is yours.
Thank you, Glenn Bailey. Judy said it better than I possibly could have. I just want to add a few things. First of all, I've been involved with neighborhood councils for quite a while, and for that time period, except for the last 2 years, I took advantage of taking the ethics training in person with the person who was the assigned city attorney for the Valley neighborhood councils. Generally, it was that person. And at virtually every one of those in-person ethics trainings, this issue was addressed. And not only that, and which is exactly as Judy stated, if you have to recuse yourself, you are in a physical meeting walking out the door, a virtual meeting, you don't have, turn off your sound, etc. And you are not part of the quorum. So when you have a situation where you have a number of people, and it could be one if you're only at, if you're at quorum and one person has to recuse themselves, you've lost quorum. In your case, you had 8 and you had 4 and then 1 come back, you've lost quorum. Now you have 11 board members. You've got 3 people who could, you know, if you know they're going to show up later in the meeting, they can, you know, you can bring the matter up later in the meeting when you have those additional people here. Otherwise, this matter ought to be postponed till the next meeting. My last comment is, it is highly, with all due respect, first of all, I have high regards for Gibson, but he's just absolutely wrong on this issue. And I hope he didn't, I wonder if he did check with city attorney. And more importantly, did each of the board members who think that they might have a conflict, they're required to check with the city attorney. And the city attorney would say definitively, you must recuse or you're okay, and you may have to just disclose your relationship. So at no point would the city attorney, in my experience, ever say, oh, I'm going to recuse myself. Oh, I'm going to come back in. I mean, that's just not what the city attorney would say. Every board member who thinks that they might have a conflict with something on the agenda must contact the city attorney in advance of the meeting. And if they did not do that, you should have been advised that this matter just the advice from the city attorney is that you carry the matter forward to give those board members time to check with the city attorney as to whether they need to recuse, if they have a conflict, and if they need to recuse themselves. Maybe they don't, I don't know. But that's something that has to happen privately between the board member and the city attorney in advance of your meeting. And if that hasn't happened, yes, you've got a serious problem. And yes, when you fill out the board action certification form that states on the bottom of the form, the lower left corner, 6 is your required quorum, and you only show 4 voting, yeah, that's a huge red flag. So don't, you know, again, you're not only jeopardizing this neighborhood purposes grant, which I'm certainly very open-minded to personally, because I expect it to come to my neighborhood council, but worse, you're jeopardizing your neighborhood council, and you're jeopardizing the folks who have, you're just raising so many unnecessary potential problems for your neighborhood council. Thank you.
Mr. President?
Yes, sir.
I think just kind of because because I didn't know that there was going to be board members, and sort of in light of what some of the stakeholders have mentioned, I think the best course of action would, let's just table this matter and we'll circle back with all the board members who said that they want to recuse themselves, or recuse themselves from this motion, so we can confirm on it. So we just don't risk tainting it, and then the board can discuss it in the next board meeting. I apologize for this.
Yeah, I was going to move to table.
Yeah. So I'll accept that. Let's move to table until we figure out the recusal.
You don't have a quorum to even do that, okay?
Yeah, so.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so we'll just go to the next thing, and then we'll ask all board members to come back so we can have a quorum again, and then.
Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I agree with Gibson and with Glenn, and I recommend that we should postpone this matter to the next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm moving forward to table this with no further discussion. And let's call it like a 3-minute break, please. Without any objection.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Glenn still has his hand.
All right, board, are you here? Come back.
Yes.
Mr. President, just if I may ask, just do a quick roll call as well to make sure we have all board members.
Yes, we'll do. Okay, they're still coming in. Let them come in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Mr. Balin's here, just so you know.
Thank you.
And Christine, I'm here as well.
Thank you. Make sure.
Guy.
I just wish Mr. Balin would speak for himself and not in the third person.
All right.
Hey, all of us are here, relax.
All right, let me do a roll call real quick. Make sure we have quorum. David Lasher.
Here.
David Balin.
Here.
Thank you. Hilda. Hilda messaged me. I think she's in the other room. There she is. Well, then bring her back as panelist. So she is here. Jason.
I'm here.
Thank you. Louis. Absent. Becky's absent. Brandy. Brandy.
Oh, she needs to be moved over, looks like.
Oh no, she was a call-in. I'm not sure where she went.
No, she's there.
Oh, there she is.
Hold on.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you. Thank you, Brandy.
Oh, there you are. Okay.
And then Jennifer is absent. Voss.
Here.
Christine.
Here.
And Gabriel here, and we have a quorum to continue. Next item is motion presentation possible action to recreate our webpage and WordPress software at a cost of $4,200. I do have something to share, and Wendy Moore has something to share. 1 second. All right, Wendy, can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. Do we have a second on this to continue real quick? Do I have a second?
Second it.
Thank you, Christine. All right, Wendy, the floor is yours.
I do have a presentation if you would want me to show that.
Yes, you go ahead. You should be able to right
Share
now.
screen, okay. Pick that screen, share, make it a slideshow. Okay. Oh, perfect. Excellent. So thank you for having me join you this evening. As you know, I have been working with you guys for a long time. You've been the first council I started working with, and I'm grateful for that opportunity to be a stakeholder in Porter Ranch and to work with you these many years. And as you know, I'm the content specialist, and I have a graphic designer and technology specialist to bring in when we need them. And once upon a time, there was an approved vendor list, and I was on that. And I obviously have a lot of work experience with neighborhood councils and with Dunn. And today we're here to talk about moving the site from the Drupal content management system to the WordPress management system. And this colorful chart here is showing you the timeline of the different levels of Drupal. So we are on Drupal 7, which subsequent to 7 obviously came out 8 and 9. And 8 is the orange bar at the top, which is already done. So it didn't last very long. I believe I brought this topic to you last year, and the message at that time was that Drupal was going to be, 7 was going to be, had an end to life at November of last year. Well, like a lot of things in the pandemic, that got postponed until this year. So Drupal 7 is the yellow bar showing that it's in the middle there. So we are still having security updates, which is the point. We're having security updates as the thing, as issues come up, that we continue to receive those and implement those. So after fourth quarter of this year, there will not be any more of those. And I would recommend that we be on a platform that is supported. So I had about 5 neighborhood councils that we had Drupal systems with, and we've migrated all of them to WordPress except this one. So the developer I work with is recommending WordPress rather than Drupal. It's faster to implement. Drupal is alive and well. As you can see, there's version 9, and it's very robust, and it's much more complex to implement. So it's not a useless system. It's just one that we probably find it easier to work with WordPress. So that is what I am bringing to you today as the topic. And I thought we could take a moment to look at our site and what some of the opportunities are. So this is a screenshot of our current site, and I love this site, the colors and the beautiful mountains in the background. And it's one of the cool things about it is that it's very much an at a glance kind of thing, where you get so much information before you even would have to scroll. Between the slideshow, the sign up, the news, the meetings, the map showing you where we are, and a link to a video. And even right below that, based on a request, we recently just added a link to our whole YouTube channel. So there's a lot going on here. There's a lot of really positive stuff. So I'm not suggesting that we change this for the look and feel, merely for the security and support. So just thought I'd take a moment to show you what some of the other councils have done. So I do work with 20 councils across the city approximately. And this site here with Westchester Ply is a new site that we did about a year or so ago. They were on Drupal and now they're on WordPress. And the look is a bit different in terms of a wide slideshow with the menu superimposed over the top with the news below. It's a bright, beautiful look. The next one is Winnetka. They also were on Drupal. We moved them to WordPress. It's similar, but their menu bar stands alone. It's not superimposed over a slideshow. North Hills West, another site, has been on WordPress the entire time I've been working with them. We recently did an upgrade. So we changed the look and feel without having to change from WordPress, because we could use the same theme. We just, we made the slideshow wider. We went with new design, making it fresh without having to do a lot of effort, which was terrific. And here's a different look with North Hollywood Northeast. It's a much tighter design. Again, pulling in the meetings on one side, the menu bar is on the side, it's not across the top. So it's a different kind of look. And here is NoHo West. We again redid their look and feel, leaving it still on WordPress, using the same theme. It was a quick change to freshen the look. And moving along, here is Empowerment Congress Southwest. They too were on Drupal and went to WordPress. A similar look to that one with Westchester. And their neighbors in Watts liked this look so much that they asked to have their site converted, still on WordPress, but to that similar look. So there's a lot of different looks out there. You don't have to pick any one particular thing, but I just wanted to show you what some of the possibilities were. And certainly you may not all be aware of all of the things that we've done to support the council over the years, but they're numerous. We at one point did graphics for bus benches and images for ads in the Valley Voice and other local papers. And so mostly the work that I've done with you guys and continue to do is focused on the agendas and minutes and putting news up and sending that via e-blast and social media, and working with Gabriel to make sure all of that stuff is updated, and each month sending an invoice that details all of the work that was done. And I know oftentimes members are interested in being involved in outreach, which is terrific. I'm glad to provide this support. There's always possibilities of things that you guys can do, never fear. Outreach is not a one person, one woman, one man show. There's opportunities for board members to collect email addresses to continue to expand our reach, to like and share posts, because the way that Facebook works now is different from it used to work. Your interaction gets it more visibility amongst our stakeholders. And certainly when we have events, to be taking pictures at those events. So I'm not wanting to do all of the outreach for you. Love to have you guys involved in it. I know you have a lot to do already on the board to make things happen. So just want to provide that background to go with what we're trying to do with respect to the website. So happy to answer any questions about that.
Thank you, Wendy. One question for you, and I know I do see other hands, but what are the negatives of keeping Drupal and security level? What can happen, or what's negative aspects of keeping old versus the new?
Yeah, certainly what can happen is the site can be hacked, and we show up one day and it's not our content anymore. So that would definitely be a risk. Granted, with certain hackers, that could be a risk no matter how secure we are. All you have to do is ask the folks in Ukraine. Everything is being hacked all the time. So there's no guarantees there, but being on a platform that's not supported is certainly not recommended.
And what about which site is easier to use for uploading, or what takes less time to upload information? Is it about the same, or one's faster than the other?
So WordPress is probably a little more intuitive, and it's certainly faster for the developer to configure. She told me way back when we were considering WordPress that it takes her twice as long to configure a Drupal site than it does a WordPress site. WordPress is used widely, and there's a lot of support out there for it. That's still true for Drupal, but from a user perspective, if people wanted to be able to update stuff themselves, that is probably easier.
Thank you. David Bailey?
I'm coming on. Hold on a second.
Okay.
All right. So where do I start? First off, yes, we need to update our system. Absolutely. But I would like to encourage the board to get two other quotes. I think that Wendy has a monopoly with the NCs, and I don't think it's true business. I think we've wasted a tremendous amount of money over the last 6-7 months with the e-blast, the agendas, the newsletters, which I feel the board members should have taken on that responsibility. But I know you felt different, Gabriel, so that's fine. But we've wasted a tremendous amount of money. I think we've paid Wendy probably, I don't know, $7-8 grand, maybe more. I'd like to see, before we move forward on this, I'd like to get 2 bids. I don't think that WordPress is that difficult. Most people can put together a utilize WordPress maybe within a day or so. It doesn't take that much effort to switch over. I think the bid is quite high, and I would like to have 2 more bids. Thank you.
Thank you, David. David Lasher?
Yeah, I wanted to echo some of the same concerns. I mean, I noticed that Westchester Playa's migration was a flat 4,900, and here we have this substantial ask for this. If we're just going from A to B, we're going to copy the content and literally paste it in WordPress. It shouldn't take days to do or hours. Is the developer being paid by the hour, or are they getting a flat rate for doing what shouldn't take that long? I'm almost like to just bomb our current site, and we've got the last financial report on our current site is from 2020. Why are we migrating bad data in the first place? It doesn't have any relevance. We've got literally under budgets and funding, the last month expenditure report is from 2020. So we're going to transfer that over and pay for that? I don't get that part of it. But so is a developer being paid by the hour, or are they getting this flat substantial amount of money? Would be my question. And I could the other concerns. I don't know what for.
Thank you,
It
David.
seems like we're not, yeah.
When did you want to answer both questions from both Davids?
Yeah, the Playa site, Westchester Playa was 4,900, and my proposal 2 is 4,200. So it's less. Their site was more complex in terms of their configuration and their integration with other outside platforms. So yours is less, and the developer has gone through and estimated what it would take, and I have rolled that up into the estimate that I've provided for you. And I think the rate that I'm offering you is highly competitive compared to other options out there.
Is he being paid a flat rate or by the hour?
I pay her by the hour. She has made a proposal based on her knowledge of having built this site, what it would cost. And to migrate more or less makes no difference because it's a database. You just migrate all of it and configure all of it. So whether we take all of the MERs or half of them, it would actually cost more to take less of it, because then you have to sit there and figure out what to take.
So you're saying
my point was that we don't, the last expenditure report is over 2 years ago. What? There's nothing to take.
there's a ton of content on the site of our history over the years that has been really beneficial, as every time that we were presented with a proposal for the village, for Aldea, for whatever it was named, every 5 years, all of that data is on there. And that was, I would imagine, super helpful to the board as they considered those options when they were presented.
Thank you, Jason.
Well, Wendy, I think what he's saying is that there's portions of the website that aren't being kept current, like that MER section. So what he's saying is, why were we going to take that over if it's not being kept up to date? But anyways, I just want to make like a couple comments. I think David made my comment. I think we need to do our due diligence and get 3 bids, because like I don't see a bid. Or I guess what you're saying is that the bid that you got, it's not on the agenda, but the bid that you got was 4,200 from the developer, or are you, because you're not doing the migration, right? You're hiring somebody to do it, right?
Yeah, the effort involves the developer doing the migration, and there's a certain amount of effort to work with whoever's identified to work on this project with me, what the look and feel is going to be, and to configure that. So it's not just moving it. I'm presuming we're doing a new look and feel. At the time that we last discussed this, the possibility, the suggestion was to move it to a look like that with Winnetka. It doesn't have to look like that. It could be a different look, different layout. So that is not a firm thing that is done, but the price did not envision having a design group of the whole come together about that. It was envisioned as a let's pick something and go with it.
So I guess my question is, you're going to be working on it, they're going to be working on it. So usually we, when I submit something as a treasurer, I have to submit an invoice. So you would say, okay, I'm, going to spend 10 hours on the content, right? Like I'm going to work with you guys for 10 hours, fixing the content, just as an example. The developer is going to work 30 hours. The developer's rate is this, and my rate is this. So this is what I get paid, and this is what the developer gets paid. So like, that's the kind of questions that I have, and I don't understand where the 4,200, how it's like broken down exactly. But that's fine. I'm not asking for an answer. I'm just saying that that's like the kind of clarity that would make me comfortable with this. But I remember it was, you came before for a lesser amount. And I know back when Jennifer Milbauer was on the outreach committee, we had talked about the website. When you showed all that stuff, to me, the other sites, I like our site actually the best, because I just feel like that white background, and like I feel like the website really is looking good, and just with a couple tweaks. I know like we had a meeting with Brandy and I thought that like the website really looks good. And honestly, I'm not that worried about the site being hacked, because it's not like we're maintaining social security numbers, date of birth, and I get the risk, right? But you said it, the risk is also that WordPress can get hacked too, the same way. And I think that you have to look at it like, who's going to want to spend resources to hack our website, right? We can back up our website anyways. So if it does get hacked, then we'd have to come out and have an expenditure to fix it. But I kind of like the way the website is looking. But I think, to be fair, to do this right, we need to have other bids, other options, so that you said that you're competitive, so that you do prove that you're competitive, and that we can look at other options. Because honestly, I don't like the look, that white background on those other sites. I think our site, if you really take an honest look, it's looking good. And so I'm not that worried about the security updates, but I do appreciate, I think WordPress is actually maybe better, but I know like Brandy knows a lot about this stuff. She mentioned other options like Wix. And I know I had spoke to 2 of the other city approved vendors, and they had some good options as well. So I just think that some more work needs to be done on this. We need to explore. And I thank you for your time. I know you put a lot of time into this, Wendy, and I like working with you, and you do great work. And so, I think that you definitely should be, part of the conversation. But I just would like to see some other options. But thank you for all the help that you gave us. And we really do support you. I just want to look at other options. Nothing against what you do. I think you do a great job.
Thank you, Jason. You want to add anything to that, Wendy, or should I go to the next question?
Go on.
Thank you. I see David Bailey and David Lasher have their hands up. Is it old or new?
Well, very, very quickly, working with City of Burbank, I'd like to talk to my IT department and ask them what they think it would take and get back to us. Just as a second opinion, if you will.
Thank you. Any other
I still
comments?
had mine. I have my hand up.
This is David Balin. Okay, go ahead, Brandy, you first.
Okay. So I know there's new people on the board. So for those who don't know my background, I have a degree in computer science. I used to work as a programmer for Microsoft, and I'm currently department chair for a computer degree program. So from that perspective, I have a few thoughts. I do absolutely believe that moving away from Drupal is a necessary move because security issues can be more complex than some people might expect. I'm not going to point them out because I don't want to let people know what they can do to us, but it's always a necessity to deal with these kind of things, even if it doesn't seem like it should be. Also, as someone who has made websites in WordPress, I do support moving to WordPress. I think there's other options that are equally valid, like Wix and other things. All of those are good options. I do think that the move is more difficult than some people here may think it is, and more work than they might think it is. All that said, this is a slightly higher price than I would expect for a simple static website in WordPress. And that doesn't mean that this is a bad thing or it's not like we're being taken advantage of. And it's not super higher, it's just slightly higher. So all of that put together, I like the idea of getting multiple bids. I think that's the right move. And either way, I would really like to see a cost breakdown as an attachment made available to the public before we as a board vote on this, because I think that everybody should have access to that kind of information, and we haven't seen that cost breakdown. I appreciate the work in putting the estimate together, but I do think having the detailed breakdown is important. So I would actually like to see us move to table this until we can get more information and make it publicly available, but quickly.
Thank you, Wendy.
I'd second that.
Wendy, you want to answer and make a statement for Brandy?
The only thing I would add is that Wix would not be recommended because with Wix, you're paying them monthly to host the site, and you lose a lot of flexibility in terms of the look and feel that you want to go with.
Understood.
Thank you. Any other comments?
I had one. So just wanted to finish up. So I agree with what Jason and Brandy both say. Wendy's done a great job for us, but I just think that we need to open up our horizons. I don't think Wendy would have a problem with us grabbing a couple other bids. And if there's something that we can have a discussion with down the road because something else comes in and we have a different vision, I think we should move quickly on this, but I think we should look at our options as well. But I do agree with Jason. Wendy has always done a great job for us. I just think that times are changing, and I think we need to look at other options at this time as well. So thank you.
Thank you, David. Any public comments? No public comments. So does the board want to proceed on the vote, or do you guys want to table this motion?
Well, I moved and it was seconded on tabling.
We were talking about tabling it until we get the other two quotes.
Okay.
I think that was Brandy's motion and I seconded it.
1 second.
Yep.
And I'll contact City of Burbank IT and ask them for just an impartial outside opinion on what they think it would take.
Thank you. I guess let's move forward on tabling this. I'll add it on the April 2022 agenda.
To be
Again.
clear, Burbank IT, they're not going to do any work in terms of the city, but I will just ask. We have a very robust IT department, which asked them for a
We
price.
can't discuss it. We're gonna discuss only tabling.
Fair enough. I was
Sounds
discussing,
good.
I was giving you info.
Motion is tabled. Wendy, I'll stay in touch with you on it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. All right, item number 17 is getting tabled as well. Let's move on to item number 18, which is Vas. The floor is yours, and let me share my screen real quick. 1 second. Can everybody see my screen?
Yeah, if you can zoom in or
I did. More?
or can you make it? Can you get rid of that sidebar or no?
I don't know how to.
Okay.
Can you guys see it though?
Yeah, it's not bad.
All right, let me bring the.
Yes.
Perfect. All right, Vas. The motion is yours. If you want to read the motion. Are you here? I can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you now.
Okay. Per the Board of Neighborhood Commissioners Bank bylaw table of contents, policy 2010-03 effective 10/5/10, all neighborhood councils are required to incorporate the bylaw tables of contents into their bylaws in the order laid out below. Please note that the table of contents cannot be altered in any manner. For sections that do not apply to neighborhood council internal boundaries, please state that section not applicable. For section on which the neighborhood council chooses to be silent, please state intentionally left blank. For section that include board seat names, the Article 5, Article Attachment B, please ensure board seat names are listed the same for consistency, especially capitalization and hyphen usage, such as at large versus at large, etc. The Department of Neighborhood Empowerment highly recommend that neighborhood council address all the issues in the bylaws table of contents in their bylaw with the necessary clarification in standing rules. So as you are aware that Don wants us to amend our bylaws, and besides that Don's recommendation, we had two other recommendations also. One was the creation of two non-youth seats, and that was passed by the then bylaws committee under Assad. They had passed this motion, and we are taking that one into our new amended bylaws. The second was the motion to appoint president to speak to agencies on behalf of the board after discussion and vote, and the VP as an alternate when president is not available. This motion was moved by Gabriel. I seconded it. Motion passed with quorum 7-3. And this was passed, and that we are including this in the standard rules of our bylaws. So if anyone has any objection or anything to add, please speak. Thank you.
Vas, read the motion.
Okay.
Pardon me. Can I say something?
1 second. Let him read the motion real quick first. So we can discuss.
Well, that's what what I'm speaking about.
Yes, yes, Jason.
Well, can we just have a discussion? Because I think before we make a motion, it's not clear to me what we're talking about. I mean, I know like it was posted as an attachment, but I think like in the past, we've gone through this in special meetings. We've gone through paragraph by paragraph and gone through it. And Voss read a bunch of stuff, but I'm still looking.
We will go through all the changes right now. It's not that many changes from the previous bylaws to the new ones. But once he reads the motion and have a second, then we can go through item by item, and then the board can decide what to do.
So the
You want
motion,
me to make a motion?
okay, never mind. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead and read the motion.
Okay, I move the motion to amend the bylaws as per the Dunn's recommendations and include our already passed motions into the amended bylaws. Thank you.
That's not what the motion reads though.
Okay.
Item number 18.
Okay, motion and discussion to approve amended changes to PRNC bylaws made by the bylaws committee. Attachment H.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
I will second that, and let's move to discussing all the changes, and then we can move forward from there. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that was one here.
All right, the first change that was made is on Article 2, and which is the purpose of the council, as you see. And this came from Dunn. The purpose of the council is to promote more stakeholders' participation in government and to make the government more responsive to local needs. Neighborhood councils shall include representatives of the many diverse interests in the communities and shall have an advisory role on issues of concerns to the neighborhood. And then the word also was added, and the rest was already on our bylaws previously.
So we have no choice on that, right?
Correct. This was done
Mandatory.
verbiage. Correct.
Mandatory, okay.
Next change that was made was on the governing board, Article 5, Section 1, because there was a youth seat added, and you'll see multiple points to this youth seat throughout the bylaws. The part in black was already there. The red was added. There shall be an additional 2 non-voting youth seats open to the stakeholders who are at least 14 years of age, with term expiring on June 30th of the year of their 18th birthday. Youth candidates to be appointed by the board per Article 5, Section 6 guidelines. Does anyone have any questions regarding
Okay,
that?
can you just specify which ones are done and which ones are?
Sure. Vas, was this a done requirement or?
So this was done by the then bylaws committee under Assad, and they had passed this amended this bylaw
last year.
Oh, a committee doesn't, a committee can only recommend, so.
Committee can only recommend for the board approval. That's right.
You said 7-3 vote on something. I wrote.
No, that was the different one. That was for the president to authorize it.
So this is a committee. It's helpful if you put here, okay, like in parentheses, committee recommendation or done requirement, so that we know what's what. So this is something that the committee came up with and is recommending.
No, this is required. This was by the by rules committee, then by law committee. Yeah. We can add that one.
That's what I said. What I was.
Okay.
I'm trying to distinguish between what is coming from the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment. So this is coming from the committee.
Yes.
This is from last year's committee.
But not a meeting that, when was this voted on?
Last year.
That was, I think, voted on by bylaws committee of April 22, 2021.
2021, okay.
Under Article 5, Section 1.
Can we go on? Next item, next change?
Gibson in the room or no? I think Gibson needs to be present on all.
This is in here.
Okay.
Well, I got a question on this. So because it's the youth committee, shouldn't the youth committee, since they're running the committee and we're overseeing it, shouldn't they come up with a recommendation and then they bring it to the board and then we would approve on who they're going to appoint as a president or vice president or I'm a chair or
no,
co-chair?
This is actual youth seat on the board, though, so there'll be a board member.
On the board.
This is not for youth committee.
Hey, I'd like to remind everybody that there was some changes in regards to the 2 youth seats that we had implemented not too long ago. Did those changes, were they removed from this bylaw amendment?
This is pretty much it. Last year's changes were never approved by the final board or the actual board because they ran out of time. So last year's changes are being brought to this year's changes, so the board can approve before the deadline next month.
Can Gibson have an opportunity to review the language on that one, please? I'd like to hear what Gibson feels.
Also, I think, can we
not
also just input Glenn Bailey on this one as I find that language? Because I just want to make sure that there isn't, there was something that we
I
had.
would like to finish my statement before everybody jumped all over me when we were talking. First off, I'm not really sure who came up with a youth seat at 14 years old, because our meetings go till 10 and 11 o'clock at night. So I have concern as a parent. I think the last youth seat that we had was, I think the people had to be at least 16.
As you know, yeah.
Gibson can explain that.
I'm just finding the language in regards to that. We had made the amendment in regards to the youth seat being age 16 to 18. I know Glenn is in this, if you just want to.
Yeah, Glenn is allowed to talk now.
Can you close that, please?
I had my hand up.
Go ahead, Glenn.
Okay, thank you. So this is probably more of a question than a declarative statement, but I can tell you because Northwood used to have to go through this with our youth seat. So the city council voted 2 years ago, I believe it was, and it was, well, anyway, the bottom line is it ended up different than what neighborhood councils thought it was starting out at. And the city council vote was that youth seats were limited to a maximum of 1 per neighborhood council, and that the age at the time that the youth joined the board had to be 14 to 17, although if they turned 18 during their term, they were allowed to do that. Now, so my question on this, and I don't have an answer, is because it's non-voting and because it's yeah, so I mean that is what city council voted on. That's the rules that all the other neighborhood councils have to follow. My guess is you would have to follow that even though they're a non-voting seat. So that may, limit just one. And also you'd be required to put that 17 years of age at the time of appointment in. Thank you.
I know Brandy wanted to speak as well. I apologize.
Yeah, I had a point of parliamentary procedure related to Brandy. Brandy, we can't see your hand up if it's because maybe you're calling in, unless someone else is seeing something I can't see.
Brandy, can you try to press the star 9?
Raise hand figure doesn't work.
Can you try the star 9?
I see Brandy's hand up right now.
I can't see your hand either. Maybe
I can always see it when I'm on when I'm on Zoom, I can always see Colin's hands up.
I can't see it.
Brandy's
We're not seeing it.
Brandy is in attendees because she's calling in.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking at the.
That's why.
I'm looking at the
Oh,
view, not the
attendee room still, that's why.
And she can't come in the panelist room because she's calling in.
Brandy, but if you're calling in, can you press the star 9? I want to make sure it should be the one that lets you raise your hand.
I did.
Okay,
I did.
I see her hand up.
See your hand.
So
Can I go?
Go ahead, Brandy.
So I don't know if you're on a specific page, but I had a couple questions. One was where we have the eligibility for the at-large youth seat. We've listed attending a PRNC boundary school as eligible to vote on the seat, but not as eligible to run for the seat. And I'm wondering if that was an intentional thing, that we didn't want kids who attend school in our boundaries to be eligible if they don't have a different eligibility requirement.
We are
And then
we are nowhere close to that one yet. So we're on page 5.
okay, so we're on page 5. Let me get up to page 5. I read through all of this, so I had my notes on it from before.
I think we're going paragraph by paragraph, right?
Correct.
We're just talking about the 2 youth seats right now.
Article
Yeah, I'm
5,
talking about
section 1.
Okay, I'm talking about the 2 youth seats as well. Okay, so we'll get to that part
We'll
later.
get to that, yeah, we'll get to that later.
The other question then is for this then. I was just curious if making them non-voting was part of the done requirement, or is that our choice?
Done requirement.
I believe it's done requirement, right, Gibson?
Yeah, so the thing that I'm just kind of making sure that the bylaw template, the way we have the youth board member seat, it's only one seat. So
Okay, we can
as
change
Ben has
that.
mentioned it, the city council motion had reduced two youth seats from 2 to 1. And yes, the answer is non-voting.
They have to be non-voting?
I think so.
Yes.
So currently, the only change to that paragraph I have right now is to change that to one non-voting seat.
And
And
the age, and then you'd have to put the age description of 14, between 14 years old and no more than 17.
So basically what happens if they join 17 and they got to be off by 18th, right? They can't be on the youth seat on 18 years old. So how do we word that? Because right now we have it as expiring on June 30th, which is the end of the fiscal year and elections time of their 18th birthday.
So the language would say at the time of the election or selection. So if the time this person is 17, then they'll serve out. But I think once they age out, the best course of action, if there's another seat, is for the board to appoint that board member to another one of the other board seats.
So what was the verbiage again? At the time
of the election or selection. It was that language was in the bylaw template that I had sent over. I can resend it again.
Okay. So and we just cross out June 30th of the year of the 18th.
Yeah, just say at the year of the election or selection.
Gotcha. So they have to be ages 14, no more than 17 at the time of the election or selection.
As we stated, yeah, so open to stakeholders between the ages of 14 years old or older and no more than 17 years of age at the time of the election or selection.
Gotcha. Thank you. I have 3 more questions here. David Lasher.
My questions were respecting section 10, so I guess I should wait.
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Becky?
Yeah, I just wanted to say when we decided to use the age of 18 years old, and we wanted it to expire at the end of the fiscal year. So that was our thinking when we wrote this. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Becky. David Balin?
Thank you. Yeah, Becky was on the board with me back when we had the last youth. And he was, I believe he was 17 because he moved on and went to college. I'm going to share this with the board and with the city. I think 14, 15 is way too young. And I would hope that the city would recommend that there would be an adult supervising the youth. I think they're way too young to be sitting on a board. Sometimes we know that sometimes these meetings go till 10 o'clock, sometimes 10:30 at night, which is way too late for a youth when they have to go to school the next morning. I think we're wrong to be looking at somebody who's 14. I think the youth committee is great for somebody of that age, but I think to fill a seat, I think they should at least be 17 or 18. Thank you.
Thank you. Becky, you have your hand up again?
Yeah, David, I agree with a lot of what you're saying. One of the things that I think we should also require is that any board member working with a child, and if they're younger than 18, should have a complete police background check to make sure it's a safe person for these kids to be with. And I think
100%.
that's sort of a challenge on having a youth representative on our board, because that's not one of the requirements to be on the board. Thank you.
But I agree with you, Becky. Thank you.
Yeah, that is on the bylaws as well on the bottom. Boss?
Yeah, my recommendation was, since the city has it 14 year, we should go with the 14 year at this time, but tomorrow if the city changes it, we can amend the bylaws again with that age. Thank you.
Thank you, boss. David Lasher?
With respect to the background check for working with youth, that became a state law on January 1st.
Awesome. Thank you.
Good.
And then I see Brandy with your hand up.
Yeah, I respect David's idea of a parent not wanting to have their child up at a certain time, but as a parent myself, I would have no problem with my child when he's 14 doing this. So I think that we just go with what is being allowed and let parents decide for their own families what's appropriate for their own children. Thank you.
But I guess the question is, if somebody's 14 or 15, would we encourage supervision? Thank you.
Yes.
Oh, I'm totally on board with supervision. That's not the issue. I'm talking about how late a child stays up. Like, if I would be proud if my son ends up as a 14-year-old on this board, and I would happily support that with no problems of how late he goes to bed doing the work. So I think that's something that we can reasonably make.
I think I agree with you. A 14-year-old would be able to withstand it. It's us older people that start falling asleep around 9:30 or 10. So right there with you. Thank you. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, Jason.
So I have a question before I make my comment. So has this language been approved by the city yet?
All this is going to go to the city for approval, but the deadline is next month.
Okay, so this is really not appropriate because, and may I ask in the future, so you make this simple on everybody, if there's language that's coming from the department, maybe you can put it in like blue, for example. And if there's language from the committee, that way we understand, because this is still being vetted right now in the city. So I don't think it's appropriate for us to be, because we're going to have to go along with whatever they vote on and approve anyways. You know, they're already.
Yeah, that's when they come and they change our bylaws automatically anyway.
Yeah, so why are we spending our time, like, this is not appropriate. The appropriate way to be doing it would be to do a CIS to, you know, the commission and giving our opinion on all the good points that David and Becky are making regarding protecting our youth, because, you know, that's the appropriate place to be making those comments. This should not be part of our bylaws discussion yet, because we know that the city's working on something right now with the youth. We have a youth committee that's doing good, and I think that, you know, we're gonna maybe have a youth seat, it sounds like, but why waste our time worrying about it right now? Because the city's gonna put it to us and make us put it in our bylaws anyways. We're not gonna have any choice of it. If you wanted to have this discussion, let's put it on another meeting and we can talk about safeguarding our youth and what is appropriate for a youth board member. But that should be in the form of a CIS to the Board of Neighborhood Commissioners. As far as I understand it, I mean, you can correct me, Gibson, if your boss has his hand up, if you know more, but if the bonk is still working on this right now, let them work on it. We don't have a choice. That's all.
Voss?
Okay, the thing is that Don has taken about a year to make these amendments, and this was done in August 31st, and they gave us only 4 months. So April 1st is the last day to submit it to Don. So we do not have that much of time to go for the CIS or for the city to wait, but we have to meet the deadline. So if there is anything, they will let us know and we can make the amendment again as per Don's recommendations. Thank you.
It's a non-voting seat anyways. The youth can participate in our meetings. You know, they're all, so I don't really see what we're accomplishing here.
No, it is like as a requirement.
The deadline. I understand the deadline. We'll beat the deadline. But
okay.
If the city come and changes it,
yeah,
we're wasting.
Then we will amend it. Then we will amend it again.
Let's just wait for the city to.
No, but the April 1st is the last date, and we cannot wait beyond that one. We have to submit it to Don before that.
Yeah.
I know. My point is the city's going to tell us what we have to do, and then we're going to have to amend anyways.
So, but we cannot wait till that long because we have to meet the deadline also.
That doesn't make sense to me. I'm sorry.
So that you can talk to Don in case if that is a question.
Gibson, can you clarify? I don't understand, because if the city hasn't made up their mind, how are we supposed to make up our mind? Is Gibson still there?
I'm still here. In regards to the youth seat or in terms of bylaw language?
No, the youth seat.
This was something that was instituted 2 years ago in regards to the youth board member seat, in addition to additional language that was added into everybody's
Oh, well, then the
bylaws.
language is not consistent here. We don't have the
Yes.
proper language here.
And it was in the bylaw template that was sent to the board. So if the board wants to stick with that, they can definitely do that instead of making any additional changes here.
Well, can we just, Voss, can you fix the language here so it conforms with what he's
Yes,
saying?
Gibson gave us that information 10 minutes ago and I have.
Okay, cool, perfect. Then I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you. So we're good on this one? Any other, another hand up? Glenn Bailey, floor is yours. You're still here. Great. Glenn? Yeah, go.
So the process is Gibson is your guy, right? So when you complete your bylaw amendments, they'll be submitted to NC support. Gibson, whoever the NEA is for each neighborhood council will look at them and the department will make whatever adjustments. So let's say you keep this wording the same and you said two youth seats. The department will just change it to one because that's what the city ordinance, the city council voted to do, right? And they'll make that change if you don't make it. They'll make it consistent with what the requirements are. And the same thing with the voting. So, you know, I think the thing you're setting this up is that the board appoints the youth. Some neighborhood councils have the youth be part of the election process. If it's part of the election process, they'll be eligible to run if they're 14 to 17. If they're being appointed by you, the board, then you have the discretion to appoint. If you only want 17-year-olds, then you've got that discretion, you know, based on the applicants, or 16 or whatever.
Because the board is voting, that's why, right?
Right. Yeah, it's not up to the voters.
Thank you, Glenn.
Thank you. So this section, as Mr. Gibson stated, we'll be reading one youth seat, 14 years of age, no more than 17 at the time of the election or selection. So I will be changing this area right here. Let's move on to section number 2. The only thing that was added was youth seats will not be counted towards quorum.
Gabriel?
Yes, who's talking?
Oh, it's Jason. So it's part of the election then, like to Glenn's point, the youth seat is part of the election, is that correct?
It's not, ours is not a part of the election. The board appoints youth seats. It's not going to go to the city elections.
So we're gonna have it put on the agenda to appoint.
Correct. There'll be like, for example, in 2 weeks when there's a Carnival of Knowledge, if people show interest, Hilda and Christine can gather candidates that can come to the board and the board will have to decide whenever we start the youth seat to be able to move forward and decide which one of those would like to be on the council. So it's up to the board who we choose.
So we'll treat it like a normal vacancy.
Yeah, vacancy in the middle of fiscal year, correct. That's how we treat it.
Okay,
The
thank you.
board votes and it doesn't go to the stakeholders.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's move on to section number 4. Once again, what was added here, and that must be changed again, I'm assuming. Youth
Yeah,
member
correct.
term will expire on June 30th of their 18th birthday year.
Yeah, we have
So
to change that one, yeah.
how would you guys want to change that to? It does not expire on their 17th, I mean, on their 18th year at this point, because if they join when they're 17, Mr. Gibson, how would you phrase that section? Mr. Gibson?
Sorry, I had to run to the restroom.
No
Say that
problem.
again?
Over here on section 4, we have youth member term will expire June 30th of their 18th birthday year, similar to the section 5, Article 5, section 1 that we discussed. Should I remove that or should I just?
I would say my recommendation would be remove that, or just if you're gonna put the 14 to 17 at the time of the election.
So do the same thing as we wrote in Article 5.
Yes.
Okay, 1 second. Let me make a note of that. Section 4. So the same thing as Article 5, section 1.
Keep it uniform. Keep it uniform.
Perfect. So once again, for everybody, I'll say one youth seat, 14 years of age, no more than 17 at the time of election or selection. Next item of change, once again, is youth seat oriented. This is, what section is this? Article 5, Section 6E was added. The youth seat is appointed of the board, and each term is 24 months, up to 2 consecutive terms. PRNC board quorum is required to select the candidate to fill the youth seat. This is going to turn into 1 at this point.
Yes, 1.
Actually, no, it's 1, not just 2 terms. Doesn't talk about number of seats. So everything looks good there?
Yeah.
Any board questions? I see Brandy, hand up, Brandy.
Yeah, so it sounds like appointment of the board isn't something that was required, that they can be voted on. And I know it's a different section, but since it's related to this, like we have this part about eligibility to vote for a seat for the at-large youth seat. So why would we have a section in there about allowing people to vote for something if they're not allowed to vote because it's being appointed? Like, why don't we allow it to just be part of the vote, or a special vote where only people under 18 get to vote for it or something like that?
Because good question, Mr. Gibson. I don't think under 18 can vote though.
They are non-voting.
No, under 18 stakeholders can't vote for the seat.
But we are talking about the youth seat.
Yeah, there's a section in the, what is this page? The very bottom at 16, page 16, where it says eligibility to run for the seat, stakeholders 18 years or older who, blah, blah, blah. And then next to it, eligibility to vote for the seat, stakeholders 16 years or older who, blah, blah, blah. And then there's a special part in red that at-large youth seat. So it's kind of vague without the lines as to whether or not what they're saying is that people who are under 16 and live and go to school in the boundary can vote for any seat at an at-large, or can only vote for the at-large because it's in line with the at-large and in red like the at-large, but it's in the box for all at-large representatives. So it's a little confusing.
The 16 years and older is for any seat voting.
Okay, so it's not that they can vote for the seat that no one's allowed to vote for except board members.
As long as they are on the youth committee, they may not be.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting. I know the last NC I was on allowed people to vote, allowed youth to vote for the youth seat.
Yeah, they have to resign from youth committee, then they can vote, get elected over 16, then they can vote for the regular course, but they first have to vacate this seat and go for the regular seat.
But it's not required that we make this an appointed seat, right?
No, it is an appointed seat, appointed like by the board.
It's not an
But
appointment.
there were 2 people.
We're deciding if we want to make it an appointed seat.
Yeah, I'd like to see it be an elected seat.
Right. That's
Elected seat, they have to be 16 at least.
Board, I have see hands up. Jason.
We can talk to Glenn also.
Yeah, I really think that we need to have a special meeting for this, to get into all this. And there's so many corrections, like, we're not having a discussion regarding these things. We're just kind of going through, like, was there a bylaws committee meeting with your new committee, Voss, yet or no?
Yes.
You did have one. Okay.
Yes.
So can you present this as far as like our committee voted number 1 to recommend this, number 2 to recommend this, number 3 to recommend this. The city is number 1 mandating that we do this. The city, because it's not clear to me that you have this set up properly, because you're not conforming with what the city has approved. It says 2 seats, but they approved 1 seat. And, I just think in the end of a meeting, the end of a night, we've gone through a lot of stuff. When we did this prior, we had, I think, 3 meetings, 2 or 3 meetings. Esam was the bylaws chair. It was a special meeting. We didn't talk about anything else. All we talked about was bylaws. So I think it would be helpful if you could bring all the specific recommendations to the board from the committee that you had a meeting on, because it's not clear to me exactly what the city is mandating. And even what the city is saying, it's not consistent with what I'm seeing here on the screen. So I'm just confused. I'm getting tired. And I think we need to have a special meeting on this.
Look, Jason, we
I
can't
agree.
have a special meeting on it, not a problem. The problem is that half the board members don't show up on special
Yeah,
meetings.
we have to
That
discuss
is my
this.
problem.
Yeah.
I could call a
Well,
special
bylaws,
meeting gladly, but
bylaws are that kind of thing, Gabriel. Bylaws are a board thing. This is something that is of interest to every board member, just like our retreat. We had to work hard to get everybody to come. But when we're dealing with the bylaws, this is something that like every board member should be in discussion. It should be very clear what the committee is recommending and what the city is mandating. That's what I'm just asking for some clarity, because I see all this stuff in red, but then I see like some, differences between what we have here on paper and what we're being told from Gibson. It all should be hashed out on the committee level and then brought to the board. But we need to have a discussion that's robust on this, because like Brandy has a good point about, should we have to have a discussion of this should be an election or if it should be an appointment. That's a discussion we need to have. And we're not taking the time to have that discussion. Like Voss was saying that, what were you saying, that we're doing appointed? Is that what your committee recommended? Or what did the committee discuss?
the appointed part was done. The appointed part was done last year with the
By the then
committee.
bylaws committee, yeah.
That was a committee. That doesn't mean anything. That's a recommendation. And that committee is disbanded and we have a new committee. So all the recommendations that came from last board are gone.
No, the new board approved it. You can watch the videos, Jason. The video's live. You can go and watch the
Right.
whole video.
Well, I'm not watching the videos. I just want to be clear. What are the specific recommendations from the committee?
Can I speak?
Yes, Brett. Yes, Becky.
Okay, we did have a special meeting, Gabriel. We've had like 3 or 4 meetings on this, and didn't 2 or 3 meetings ago, we opened it
were
up to the whole
approved.
board, but we only had no one join in on the meeting. And what's going to happen in this process is that we will make our recommendations, and we sent all of this out to the entire board before tonight's meeting. And we thought that hopefully you guys would have read it and gone over it before now. And if the city wants to make changes, it doesn't matter what we say, they're going to make them, and they're not going to give them to us until we've submitted it, and then they'll get back to us, and then we'll have to rewrite it. So with our recommendations, if the board approves it, we send it to the city, and then the city tells us what we can and can't do and kicks it back to us. So we don't need to guess what the city's going to do. We don't know what they're going to do until we send it in. So that was our thinking, just so everybody on the board understands that. But we have met many times regarding this, and we did open it up to the whole board a few weeks ago, just to let you know.
Can I
Thank you.
finish my thought? Because, Becky kind of interjected. Can I finish my thought?
Yeah, I did, but it's kind of going on a long time, and
I know,
we
I'm
worked
tired
really
too.
hard on this, Jason.
That was my point. It's going on a long time. And this was under ESOM that we had the special meetings, but these are new
No,
changes.
we had one under here too, a week or 2 ago.
Yeah,
No
we
one
had
showed up
we
but
had
the 3 of
meetings,
us.
we had given notice of those meetings, so if anybody was interested, they could have come.
It's not, that was a bylaws meeting, guys.
Yeah,
So
that was my- okay.
Gabriel, just so you know, I attended the meeting.
Jason, continue.
Hey, folks, can we?
I have the
person at a
floor
time,
right
one
now,
person at a
guys.
time?
Can I finish?
Yes, Jason,
Can I
continue.
finish? Okay, that was a committee meeting. What I'm talking about is different. I did not attend the committee meeting. I'm talking about a special board meeting. And I just want to know what the committee's recommendations are. And if that could be clear, that would be helpful. Specifically what you guys voted on. I did not watch the video. I apologize.
Thank you, David Balin.
Yes, thank you. And I did attend the meeting, and I did listen in quietly. It was a unique experience to be the fly on the wall, but you guys did a great job. I'm going to side with Jason on this. I would like to call. Gabriel, I'd like you to at least get a head count of the 8 people that are here tonight. Who would be willing to come to a special meeting? It is getting late, and I really would like us to really iron this out properly at a special meeting. I will tell you, I'd be willing to show for a special meeting that we could go through this and put this together properly.
Thank you,
Me
David.
too.
I'm
Everybody-
available.
All right, you know what? I'm gonna table this motion. I'm gonna call a special meeting. You should all be receiving an email. And hopefully we can agree on a date, because this is due by April 1. Mr. Gibson, is that correct?
Yes, Mr. President, April 1.
And so we have 3 weeks left, so. All right, let's move on.
Committed for you. I've committed, Gabriel.
Thank you. 1 second. All right, let's move on to the next item, which is, let me, actually, I'm still sharing. 1 second. All right, next item.
I think Glenn has his hand up, Gabriel.
Yes,
Glenn
Glenn.
Belly. Glenn Belly.
I have the word, if you go, I can take this offline, but I have the wording you need if you're going with appointed youth, because I got it from the Encino bylaws, which Gibson actually is the one who approved them. But I can take that offline with you all. Thanks.
Thank you. And since we've tabled the motion, let's move on to the next item at this point, please. Next item is item number 19, discussion possible action to write a letter of support for SB 1486, Clean Energy Jobs Coordination and Community Safety through Aliso Canyon Closure Act of 2022. Senator Stern had, let me actually pull the letter up 1 second. Can you guys see my screen? All right, Senator Henry Stern wrote a Senate Bill 1486, Clean Energy Jobs.
Gabriel, I only see you. I don't see your screen.
Seriously? 1 second.
Yeah, we don't see your screen.
Now
There
can you see it?
Yes.
Perfect. All right, he wrote the Bill 1486, Clean Energy Jobs Coordination and Community Safety through Aliso Canyon Closure Act 2022. I was approached by Food and Water Watch to support the bill, including shutting down Aliso Canyon Storage Facility by 2027 and to reinstate the moratorium on the field's use as an asset of last resort to be used only in the case of emergency. This legislation comes at an important moment to hold the California Public Utilities Commission accountable in implementing the facility's closure. In 2017, Governor Brown directed the California Energy Commission to plan for Aliso Canyon's closure within 10 years. The governor then signed Senator Pavley's SB 380, tasking the CPUC with determining the feasibility of minimizing or closing Aliso Canyon. The CPUC leaned heavily into examining the facility's minimization and undercut studying the closure of Aliso Canyon by awarding the study's modeling contracts to SoCalGas. The delayed meaningful examination into closure despite Governor Brown's proposed timeline for closure in 2027. This is the proposed letter right here in support with other entities, including Food and Water Watch, that we'll be voting on if we want to support SB 1486. Can everybody read it? or have read it. Either way, it was on our website. I'll let everybody read it for a minute and then we can move forward.
Gabriel, was that a motion or was that just a discussion on it?
Right now we're having discussion, so I can bring the motion. I'm not sure how fast everybody reads, so I'm trying to go slow. This is available on our website as well.
You want us to raise our hand when we're done?
I'm just moving. Here you go, last page. Hopefully everybody had read it prior, but I just want to make sure everybody sees it.
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Let's see. All right, David Balin, you have a question? I see your hand up. I'm not sure if it was left previously.
Take it down. Sorry.
Gone. All right. Now I'll make the motion to approve the letter of support for SB 1486 clean energy jobs. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
I was fast in there.
Third.
All right. Sounds good. We can discuss it now. Any questions, any comments? Board members? Attendees? Glenn Bailey, floor is yours.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Just a reminder, for better or for worse, that neighborhood councils are advisory of the city of Los Angeles to the mayor, the city council, and the city departments. So, and I know you don't like, and I don't like the advice of city attorney, but it is in the administrative code. So I would recommend that you focus this communication to the city of Los Angeles, to one of the entities, the mayor, the city council. And then, you know, once you've taken your position, I'm sure that position will be shared by someone somehow to the senator. Anyway, that's what neighborhood councils have been advised by the city attorney. Thank you.
Sorry, thank you.
Sir
Pat?
President,
Yes.
note taker is asking, I got a verbal on a second, but I didn't get an announcement.
It's David Balin as second.
Thank you.
And then Brandy made a third, which you could note on there too.
Thank you.
Patty?
Just to the last point, yes, try to get the city council to pass a resolution. Hopefully John Lee's office will take a lead on this, but also this is the reason for this letter is that anyone, any individual, any entity any organization can send support to Henry Stern, and it goes as part of the bill analysis. And I just want to say one thing that I noticed that I really liked in this letter is that where second page where you say not transition to a storage facility for biofuels for hydrogen. That's very important because that's one way that SoCal Gas is going to try to keep Elisa open, is to say, well, we need this facility to store for our hydrogen project. And it's very important to note that to produce the hydrogen fuel, we require tons and tons of water, and we can't afford to have water tied up in this kind of a project because it's a non-renewable use of water. And during a drought, that would be atrocious. So I applaud this letter and your hard work on it.
Thank you, Patty. Jason?
I agree with Glenn. I think this needs to go, in addition to Henry Stern, it needs to go to the mayor's office and to our city council member, John Lee, because they have a legislative, I don't know if there's a council file on this one, but they have a legislative agenda that they put forth every year where they take positions on each of these Senate bills. So we are essentially asking city council to support this assembly. Is it an assembly bill or a Senate bill, whatever it may be?
Senate
So
bill.
so that's really what we're asking. So it needs to go to John Lee, and it needs to go to the mayor's office and maybe council president or something else. But
So you're suggesting sending it to, in addition to Henry Stern, send it to the mayor and John Lee's office?
yeah, that to start with, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe what committee would this fall under the city council? This would be under environment, health, and HENPAR, right? Or maybe Glenn can chime in on this one. Just send it to is there any other council president or anyone else that would be good to get? This has to go on the legislative agenda for the city council.
Gotcha. Patty, your hands up?
Yeah, wait. One thing to note is that this bill is going to start to be heard in committees next month. So this is not something that we can be saying, oh, well, let's send it here, let's send it there and wait for them to take action. Yes, send it to all of them. Tell John Lee he needs to introduce a resolution. I'm sure we're going to talk to Gabriel and Brandy, and I will be talking with Sheila Kuhn's staff tomorrow, and I hope that they would push her to do a Board of Supervisors resolution. They're very quick. They don't sit around and waste time. They pass it. And that's my concern about going to the city council and saying, please have because it'll just get stuck in committee for months and months, and we don't have months and months. This bill has to be passed by a certain date. I think it's the end of May by the Senate, else it fails.
Thank you. I am going to make an amended motion. I want to amend the motion and include the mayor and John Lee's office. So the new amended motion, which I'll need a second.
We had the Sheila Kuehl as well.
Sure, 1 second.
Thank you. I'll second that.
Let me read it real quick. Discussion and possible action to write a letter of support for SB 1486 Clean Energy Jobs Coordination and Community Safety through Aliso Canyon Closure Act of 2022, and include a copy of the letter to Sheila Kuehl's office, John Lee's office, and Mayor Garcetti's office.
I'll second that. Jason.
Thank you.
Can I,
Becky has her hand up.
Yes, Becky.
I just a question with this letter. Do we know if any of the other neighborhood, oh, that's so cute. She's sweet. Are any of the other neighborhood councils writing letters on to this effect, or what are the other ones doing? Do we know?
I believe everybody's been approached on this.
Everybody's going to write a letter. Okay.
They've been approached at the least, and they'll be voting on their next meetings.
But do we know if they're writing it? We don't know.
It's going to be similar. It's going to be similar letters, to my understanding. All right, let's call the vote. Christine, are you here still? I think she might have logged off. All right, David Lasher.
Yes.
Thank you, David Balin.
Yes.
Thank you, Hilda.
Yes.
Thank you, Jason.
Yes.
And Louis is absent. Becky.
Yes.
Thank you, Brandy.
Heck, yes.
Thank you. Jennifer is absent. Voss.
Yes.
Thank you, Christine is absent. And Gabriel, yes, and motion passes. Thank you, everyone. Next item is Jason, is yours. We're almost done, everyone. We're almost done.
All right. Oh, we can skip this one.
You want to skip it?
Yeah, because we talked about it. They're gonna be doing some work hopefully this month, and
Okay.
let's just table it for next month. Let's see what they get done.
You got it.
But we're making progress, right, boss? The sound wall, you guys are working on that? That's good news, right?
Yeah, I hope so. They are working on that one, but they have not given me any
Oh,
information.
good. Well, good work, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item is item number 21. Motion to approve consent calendar, including December 8, 2021 draft minutes, February 9, 2022 draft minutes, January 12, 2022 draft minutes, and January 25, 2022 draft minutes. I am pulling January 25 minutes out, and that will be tabled because I did get last minute changes to be amended, and the board and the community will see the changes at the next month's meeting. And there was one change submitted for the February minutes, and that was to remove page 3, paragraph 4, which was comments from Patty, and the comments were incorrect, so I'm gonna omit that paragraph or sentence completely. So that once again, that's page 3, paragraph 4 of the February minutes. Patty's comments will be removed.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Becky. Any questions or comments? I do
I'm
have.
just, hey, Gabe, on December 8th, it's just spelling errors, like they're calling Cruz on number 6.
Yeah, I already told.
Oh, you fixed that? Okay.
Like everything's, yeah, everything's fixed already.
And my name under 6, see where it says, it's what?
Yeah, I think I sent the email. Yeah.
Page 2, it says Jason Edgar.
Oh, Jason Edgar, 1 second.
It's on the second page, like
Let me see what meeting, 1 second. December 8th.
Yeah, second
Page
page, it's like
2.
the third
I see
paragraph.
it.
Yeah.
And Colin Cruz also.
That's me, Jason Hector.
And Colin Cruz, I believe, was fixed already.
Oh, yeah, that is fixed. Yeah, sorry.
Any other things, Jason?
No, I mean I don't think we need to hold anything up if we can just.
Thank
fix
you.
things.
Becky, you have your hand up?
No, I'm good.
Thank you. All right, without any objection and including Jason's change and Patty's change for February minutes, I'll make the motion to approve the 3 minutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
I second.
Thank you. 1 second. All righty, David Lasher.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. David Balin.
Yes.
Thank you, Hilda.
Yes.
Thank you, Jason.
Yes.
Awesome. Louis is absent. Becky.
Yes.
Thank you. Brandy.
Yes.
Thank you. Jennifer is absent. Voss.
Yes.
Thank you. Christine is absent, and Gabriel, yes, and motion passes. Thank you, everyone. Next item is discussion and possible action to approve a town hall on homelessness with a budget not to exceed 500. Brandy, floor is yours.
It's pretty self-explanatory. I've already talked to some electeds offices that are interested in supporting it, and just everything since the pandemic has been a lot of changes. There's been issues with new court orders. There's been issues with just everything. And there's community members that are asking to have discussions about what's been happening, what's going to happen, how things are changing. And I want to give this opportunity for the community to connect with electeds as well as other leaders in this area to talk about what's happening and get answers to questions. And also because we have new elected offices that need to know and hear from our community about this issue. So I intend this to be a virtual town hall so that it's cheaper and easier and goes more more smoothly. But I most of the budget, I just want to do like, some flyer postings and maybe some digital ads, but mostly I want it there as just in case we need to move to in person and we have sudden unexpected things. So that's why $500 as a budget. But any questions?
I'll raise my hand.
All right, Becky, the floor is yours.
When are you possibly thinking of having this? Before the end of the fiscal year? Because we're kind of running out.
Yeah, we were talking about doing this either the end of April or end of May.
Okay, great, thanks.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
I have one. Is it possible to tie this in? Are the council office still doing those homeless connect days or not really because of COVID?
That's a discussion.
Oh, yeah.
There's
Not so
kind of variants of it still kind of happening, but things have just been so different. But yeah, there's.
I mean,
but
I totally support it. If maybe next month you can kind of bring us like, the little more detail on it, that'd be great. But, I definitely support it. But,
Yeah, because we're looking at the end of April, so I'd have time to have one more meeting, but I want approval so I can start working on it.
Yeah, like, are you having speakers? Like, what's the format? I guess those are kind of my general.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the idea is a normal town hall. So there'll be speakers from different offices depending on who agrees to be there, and have kind of like when we do the debates in a way, have somebody who's taking vetted questions and asking vetted community questions. And then if there's time afterwards, let more open questions. But I do want this to be a back and forth, not just a lecture.
And who's on your committee?
Right now it's mostly stakeholders. I'm the only board member. So if anybody else wants to help, please join.
Okay, no, I just want to, I think we just have to be careful who the speakers are, make sure it's government or it's not anything controversial.
Yeah.
Things like
No.
I think you're going to be on the committee.
No.
Yeah, please join.
No.
When I speakers, I mean,
but we all want to help you, Brandy. That's all I'm saying. We want to help you. We
good.
Trust and believe in you. So,
Yeah, we put together a list. We put together a list of people that we wanted to invite. Let me just pull up that list. So we had our speaker list. Okay. People that we set, of course, offering John Lee's office and the mayor's office.
How about Ken Kraft from Hope of the Valley, maybe?
So let me get through the list I've gotten.
Sorry.
So PD12 in the mayor's office, as well as the homeless liaison for the mayor's office. I've already spoken with the supervisor's office. They're on board. We're going to reach out to the Assembly and State Senate office, as well as our new, for those of us who were in Brad Sherman's district and are now no longer our new congressman, for those who are already in it, or previous congressman office, LAUSD, and then also Lhasa. And I would like to also bring in Ken Kraft or somebody from Hope of the Valley and that kind of thing. So those are the speaker lists that we're kind of pushing towards, so that it's more about answering questions of what's happening in LA and what's going to happen. The other thing we talked about is if there's anybody we can get who is a legal expert to discuss how legal challenges have changed the framework. But I'm going to talk to CD12 to see if they recommend, like maybe that's the city attorney or maybe that's somebody from one of the judges or something. But that's the only other kind of like we haven't figured that out speaker section.
Well, some of the nonprofits that provide assistance, you know.
Yeah. But those are the basic things. We really kind of want to focus on what's the legal situation, what's the service situation, and what is boots on the ground expectations.
Good job, Brandy.
And Q&A.
Thank you. David Lasher?
I know that we had one homeless person in the Reseda corridor, and that person is now gone. And overall, it was again the tit down on Rinaldi. We have approximately 20. I don't know if the current count is going to show, but it was about 20. We saw the one RV. My concern would be that this would be a complaint session for people complaining about homeless in general, or asking what's going on in Denham and Marina Del Rey, or what's going on in Westchester Playa, or why aren't we addressing this downtown? And it would be the usual suspects of politicos telling us how they're doing everything to solve the problem and nothing at the same time. So I would hope there'd be some extra traction and it would be focused on what we can do at Porter Ranch. I'd like to know when they're going to rescind that law that the RV on Rinaldi can't be towed because of COVID when we're not even wearing masks anymore. Why is that still not towed at 2 o'clock in the morning when that kicks in? So I'd like to hear about that and not just the same usual people saying, oh, homeless is so awful, we've got to deal with this, and nothing happens for another 2 years.
Thank you, David. Brandy, you want to?
Yeah, I was going to say, do you want me to say? So it sounds like, what?
You could invite LAPD as part of your panel.
Yeah, I've thought about that. I'm going to talk to CD12 about and the mayor's office about what they want to do as far as whether I'll kind of go through them as far as whether LAPD would be included. But what was I saying? It sounds like you have some questions already, which is good. So, but I think in terms of trying to ensure that the questions that at least at the beginning are about being germane to our community, that's one of the reasons I think it's good to kind of vet through, because I imagine we're going to get 17 people with the same question, and maybe those questions are appropriate, maybe they're not. And then, so I think the first part is that curated, make sure we get appropriate questions and not the same question 6 times. And then the later part is about kind of open up. And then, yeah, at that point, it's the end. And if somebody wants to ask the same question that someone ahead of them also asked, then it's about, Culver City instead of Porter Ranch. That happens. But yeah, I think the beginning is tighter. We have the elected state anything they want to talk about, and then the rest is answering valid questions. And at the end, we open up for the surge.
Sounds like a good plan.
Thanks.
Thank you. And Colin Cruz has his hand up. Colin, the floor is yours. You went back on mute.
You didn't want to talk to me after all.
There you go.
Is that me? Are you calling me? Sorry, my phone, it flips over when you switch me to panelist. Yeah, I just wanted to talk about 2 things. Number one, we haven't had a Homeless Connect Day since January of 2020 because of COVID. As soon as LAHSA is comfortable scheduling another one, we're always happy to do that. And then to David's point regarding the RVs, David, Mr. Lasher, just so you know, there was a vote in the past several days to rescind the emergency orders, which put the moratorium on impounding occupied vehicles. The vote was 13-2 to not rescind the moratorium. So that remains in place. So if a vehicle is parked illegally, we cannot impound it if it is occupied. As things continue to open up, hopefully we can get back to a more normal enforcement. We are sending LAHSA to the folks that are residing in their vehicles to try to get them services. I think we all know that folks that are in an RV in particular tend to be more service resistant than a lot of people. But I just wanted to update that since David, you brought that up.
Thank you, Colin. Brandy.
Sorry, can I respond to that real quick?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you, Colin. I appreciate that. I'm sorry to hear the answer, but thank you. I hope we're working on the folks on Rinaldi and Zelza. It's becoming a landfill. It just, none of them seem operable. Half the vehicles are parts behind the vehicle. That's a bad stretch there before Zelza. It's getting bigger every day.
It's bad all along Rinaldi, all the way in our district to the 405. And there are parking restrictions in place in a lot of those, I won't say all of them, but a lot of those areas. And I am doing my dead level best to get sanitation out there to deal with the issues developing on the sidewalk. As I'm sure I've mentioned to you guys before, currently I have 2 days a week of comprehensive cleanups. Since COVID hit and we stopped cleaning for, well, the better part of a year, our hotspot locations, whereas they used to be 4 or 5 in the district, you know, it's as long as my arm at this point. And so I do my best to make sure everybody gets attention, but you know, really a lot of these areas need weekly service, and I just don't have the resources to send sanitation crews once a week to all of these locations. Sanitation provides for 5 locations on the 2 days of comprehensive cleaning. However, typically they will run out of time before they get done with the 5 locations. So at best, I'm really getting 3 per day, which is 6 per week. So David, you know, feel free to reach out to me directly with like specific, like I know on Rinaldi it's kind of hit and miss. Some of them are worse than others when it comes to stuff on the sidewalk, but you know where to find me. Let me know like where the real hot spots are, and I will do my dead level best to get somebody out there.
Thanks for keeping up the fight. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
It's Zelza by the park, Aliso Park. That's the
Yep.
hot spot. Thank you,
Thank
Colin, for sticking it out with us.
I'm always here, guys.
Thank you, sir. Hilda?
And I'll be reaching out to invite you.
Hi, Colin. Question to you. There's also, I just want you to be aware that there is also another trailer parked on Kenya, east of Wilbur. And it's next to City Access Road. And that trailer keeps on every 72 hours. Either it moves a little, or it moves forward, or it goes to the cross street. So it doesn't look bad, but I know it's not owned by a homeowner. So if you can look into that too, or I have photos, I can email them to you if you can provide us with your email address.
Yes, please email me. My email address is my name, Colin, COLIN .Cruz, CREWS at lacity.org.
Perfect. I'll do that as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And one more, and we'll call vote. Becky?
This is for Colin.
I've started something here.
I know. Well, I just have a question.
I got off early, easy earlier.
I know, really. We're working you hard here. I know you probably know about it, but it's been a couple of weeks on the corner of Reseda Boulevard and Devonshire on the southwest
yes, Becky,
corner.
I know.
Okay,
Yeah.
and he's got toilet paper. I feel so bad for him.
Sanitation,
so you guys are on it. And
sanitation was,
he's been there for weeks and feel so bad for him. He rubbed his head all day.
Sanitation was there today. They were there on Monday. I'm going to make sure they go back on Friday. The LAPD mental evaluation unit has paid him a visit. We have reached out to the county to send county mental health, so they're going to pay him a visit. LASA has been informed. We're doing everything we can to get him help, and until help is accepted or however that works, we're going to continue to send sanitation out there as much as humanly possible. Typically, I can't get sanitation prior to about a 2.5 week lead time. and that's barring the backlog I have. But in locations like that where there's biohazards, they do have an emergency team that goes, and they've been twice this week. And like I said, I'm going to get them back out there on Friday, barring
I
us
was
getting
worried
any
he had
distance.
dementia or something because
I mean, I don't, they don't really supply me with a lot of information
Yeah.
as to what the status is, but there's clearly some issues going on out there. And like I said, we've reached out to the county, and Blake Clayton at Supervisor Huell's office was very responsive, and they're going to send out a team. And like I said, LAPD's mental evaluation unit has been out there as well.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks, Becky.
Thank you. Jason.
Mine is really quick. Colin, because that area is part of the Sunshine Canyon, 5-mile radius on Zelza and particularly on Rinaldi, perhaps the councilman can allocate some funding to sanitation department. Do you think you can make the suggestion to, because then we can get specific overtime to give you more resources and, give the community for Zelza and Rinaldi and those areas within the 5-mile radius of Sunshine Canyon. That's all.
I appreciate that, Jason, but we used to supply overtime funding to sanitation prior to everything changing with COVID. The issue now isn't a matter of supplying them with funding; it's the manpower. Like we could
be
throw
someone
money
else. It could be LA Conservation Corps. It could be it doesn't have to be sanitation. It could be.
Well, it does though. It really does, because they go out with a whole team. It's sanitation plus it's the safe harbors people. It's a whole environmental crew that goes out. We can't really, the city can't farm out homeless cleanup operations. We have our own in-house rapid response team that goes out and picks up things like, illegal dumping, that sort of thing. And I get many emails every day, somebody wanting us to go pick up, a shopping cart. And I can have them pick up a shopping cart if it's empty. If it has clothes in it, it's hands off. That has to go through a whole procedure, and that has to go through sanitation. And,
they don't make it easy on you, I see.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of litigation involved, and as Brandy brought up earlier, we want to make sure that everything is done by the books, and we're not mistakenly disposing of something that is, we don't want to throw somebody's wallet away with their ID and their social security card, and make them start from scratch on all that. So we have to be very, very careful whenever it comes to any sort of homeless cleanup.
I understand. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Everyone. Brandy, would you like to reread your motion so we can get a second and move forward?
I don't have it in front of me. Hold on.
Yeah, but you should have it to read for her.
I can read it. Discussion and
Okay,
possible action. You got it?
No, go ahead.
Okay, discussion and a motion to approve a town hall on homelessness with a budget not to exceed $500.
I'll second it. Jason.
Jason.
I move that.
Thank you. And let's call a vote. David Lasher,
Yes.
David Balin,
Yes.
Hilda,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
Lewis is absent, Becky,
Yes.
Brandy.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you now. Jennifer is
Yeah.
absent. Voss,
Yes.
Christine, absent, and Gabriel, yes. Motion passes. Thank you, Brandy. We're almost
Thank
done.
you.
Item number 23, updates from board members and committees. I know David Lasher, you can go first.
Fantastic. Can I share the PowerPoints show for the COVID update?
Sure. You have ability to share right now. Go ahead.
All right. Give me 1 second. Excellent. Okay, so currently, the most remarkable part of the front page here is that the 14-day change is down almost 60%. That is phenomenal. So down 60% over the previous 14-day period. And the 14-day change for mortality is also down almost 8%. We're at 78.7 for being at least partially vaccinated statewide. There's some good news for Porter Ranch too, coming up here.
It still says that you're starting to share, but we don't see anything.
Oh, what? That's really weird. It's like locked up on me. Oh, it's completely locked up.
Is it what you sent me today?
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Let me download that and share it real quick. One
Okay, cool.
second.
My screen's completely locked up, but I know what I have on the slide. So
no problem.
If you can still hear me, great, but I can't, everything, I'm frozen on my end.
No problem at all. One second. Where did I just save it?
While you're doing that, could I ask a question?
Yes, go ahead.
I just wondered if anyone associated with Porter Ranch is going to be on the city clerk's neighborhood council elections work group. Okay.
Anybody planning on?
Okay. I've asked for a list and I haven't been able to get it. So I thought, since given your interest in the last one, I thought I'd ask. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, let me cancel your sharing.
Stop sharing and then start over.
Cancel your sharing, David Lasher. Thank you. Here we go. Can you see it?
Yes.
There you go. So let me know when to change pages. Is David here?
No, that's his number he referred to, 78% vaccinated, right? Partially vaccinated.
Yeah, 78% vaccinated. Next page. I guess is that all the cases world or countrywide?
Worldwide, it looks like. Or is it? Yeah, worldwide.
It says worldwide, because I thought I read that right there. The huge numbers.
6 million, wow.
And 1,097 total deaths last week, 7.6% less than 2 weeks ago.
Wow. Yeah, 59.4 decrease 2 weeks ago.
He's not back yet, huh? All right. And the new cases.
Southern California.
I think these numbers even dropped more, didn't they, today, if I remember correctly?
Second lowest. Okay.
That's right.
Just stay in Porter Ranch.
Poor guy made this and is not even here. But it looks good. I'll take it. I want to be the lowest, period.
That's teamwork. We help each other.
Exactly.
Gabriel, can we move on?
What's up?
Can we move on?
Yeah,
He's not here.
We're just going through the slideshows and we can just move on and.
No, I got it. If he comes back, we can let him take it over.
Okay, we can do that. Why not?
Well, we don't have any. Oh, yeah, next person.
Next committee, I got Brandy. Brandy, your floor is yours.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So back to homelessness. So the good news is that a few weeks ago, we finally did the first homeless count in LA County since the pandemic started. So yay, we're starting to get that again. So we'll likely get a better set of numbers than we've been working off of. On the downside, and one of the things that we could do the town hall sooner rather than later is that LA City recently completed an audit of the Triple H money and found not good things. The original cost to build a single apartment for homeless housing was about $350,000, and they found that now units are running around $600 to $800,000+. And of the 10,000 units that were originally promised, there's only been a little over 1,000 delivered, and like Garcetti's still insisting that they'll deliver all 10,300 units of supportive and affordable housing in 4 years. And given that we're around like generously about 1,200 units online in the number of years it's been doing, I'm not quite sure where his numbers are, but we've also only approved bonds for about a little under 600 million of the 1.2 billion originally done. And as of last count, only about 350 million had actually been spent. So it's kind of wonky looking on the numbers. So I think that's something that needs to be talked about, and it's something that I got a lot of questions about. So yay. That's the updates.
Thank you, Brandy. I see David Lasher, you're back.
I am back. My computer completely froze. I don't know what happened. You can share that PDF with
problem.
everybody.
Yeah, I'll share it again.
But the good news is that the Porter Ranch community, we're at 86% of Porter Ranch has had at least a one shot, and 81% has been vaccinated fully. That's 20 points higher than the state average of 60, the US average of 65%, and higher than the state's average, which I think it was, the slide's not in front of me because my computer's still locked up. But we are in the, there we go. You can go up to.
Oh yeah, there it is. Yeah.
Right now we're at the
I can see it. Thanks. Yeah. Okay. So the overall deaths the worldwide is 6 million, but unfortunately the number's closer to 20 to 24 because of misreporting and another factor of people dying of something else, but might have been related to COVID. The US numbers are very solid because our reporting systems are very modern, but it might be as high as 20 to 24 million internationally. You can go to the next slide. So as I said before, that my computer froze up there, we're at a decrease of 59.4% of cases just over a 2-week period. That's phenomenal. That's fantastic news. Vaccination rate statewide is 78.7 as of today. These are current numbers for today. And we're seeing a decrease of almost 50% in hospitalizations. So things are really, really looking good compared to 2 weeks ago, a month ago, 6 weeks ago. Next slide. Unfortunately, the one thing you do see there, we're 3 out of all the state areas. The Southern California region is 3rd, and the number of new cases per 100,000. So that's the only downside of this. Part of that's related to a metropolitan area. The San Joaquin Valley is getting hammered, even though they're not metropolitan area, because of a very large number of unvaccinated people. That's the #1 reason why San Joaquin is #1, and being #1 in this respect is a bad thing. Next slide. Porter Ranch itself, we're in the 2nd to lowest tier for new cases, which being based on every 10,000 per 10,000 residents over the last 2 weeks. We're in the 2nd to lowest tier. That's also continues to be good news and the same trend we've seen before. Next slide. And this is, I think, really good too. So in Porter Ranch itself, according to the latest numbers, at least 86% of our population of the 32,000 there have had at least 1 dose of the vaccine. Fully vaccinated people are 30,000, which is at 81%, based on our census tract for what is Porter Ranch. Side of that, you can see also, unfortunately, goes below the 118 freeway because the way the census tracts are different from our political borders. That's also higher. It's 20% higher than the national average of 65%. So again, these are all really good trends in a good direction we're going. And that's the last slide. I think about one more.
One more.
There you are. We're 10% ahead of the state vaccine rates and 15% ahead of the national average. So that's really great news. And that's reflecting the fact that we're in that 2nd lowest tier. We would not be in the 2nd lowest tier for new cases if this number was different and lower. Next slide.
That's it.
And that's what I had for you this time. These are, again, current numbers as of this afternoon. So I updated just for the meeting.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Any other committee updates?
I'll give one.
Sure, Becky.
Okay, just to
Sorry.
let everybody know, be careful of the follow home robberies. There's been an increase in that. One of the pieces of advice that was given is that if you're driving home, and I know what I do is if I'm driving up my street and there's someone behind me, I never pull up in my driveway. I'll drive around the block to make sure they're not behind me before I come home. Just be vigilant and keep an eye out. We're looking at getting some new neighborhood watch signs. I know that I had some left over and I gave them out to some people who are requesting them. So keep being aware. And I wanted to also let you know that the city has worked on some of the street lights on Wilbur, just a little bit north of Rinaldi. They got one section back up. They don't know when they'll be getting the rest of them up. So I'm keeping an eye on that. That's about it for now. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other committees? Jason, floor is yours.
All right. I just want to say, thank you to all my colleagues and board members. It seems like everybody's really finding their place and everybody's working hard on different things. So I really appreciate that. And last year, your PowerPoint was excellent. That's some good news. I'm very happy to see. So proud of our community for getting the vaccines. And I think that's great news we could share with the community, maybe in our e-blast, just congratulating it. And I don't know where you got all that data. I know there's a lot of data out there, but it's so cool to know. It looks like it's Northridge West and Porter Ranch, that last graph you showed. But I mean, that's just really encouraging. And, I'm hoping for better times in the future. So I just just want to say great meeting, everyone. And I see Colin stuck it out to the end. Thank you, Colin. We always appreciate you. Just one last comment on the what we had talked about with the street lighting discussion. I think that we have a lot of opportunity to install solar on our street lights, and we can get away from tied into the grid and this copper wire theft. So I think it would be a good idea to recommend to the city to do a pilot program on certain streets here in Porter Ranch that get good sun exposure. Because like when I was driving downtown on the 5, I see they have all these solar lights, solar street lights, and there's no copper wire to steal. So I think that would be something really good, maybe on Cessna, on Tampa. I just wanted to make a recommendation that we continue to work on that issue with the copper wire theft. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys.
Hilda?
Okay, so I just wanted to let everyone know on the 17th, Becky and I are going to Nobel Middle School. Finally, we have an appointment, and to meet with them and brainstorm, share ideas, and see what their needs and wants are for the school. So wish us luck, and we'll bring you more information next time.
Thank you, Hilda. And Becky, you have your hand up again?
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to mention tomorrow night at the bank meeting, I think that our board might be interested in attending. Chief Michael Moore will be the guest speaker, and we'll get a lot of information. I've also had a lot of people inquiring about the decrease in the speed limit, and did that come from the police department, or how that is going to all work out. So I think it'll be a really good meeting for you guys to attend. Thank you.
Thank you. Any others, or that's it? Doesn't look like it. Well, our next general meeting is on April 13th, but we will be having a special meeting at some point this month. So expect an email from me, and please reply back so we can set it up for the bylaws discussion. Without any further objection, let's adjourn the meeting at 9:51 p.m. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gabe.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank
Good
you. Bye-bye. Good night.